At the end of the day, be a pro. If you be a pro in everything you do, it gives you the accountability, it gives you the ownership, and it gives you an opportunity to be the person that people are trying to emulate, people are trying to be like.
What was your first experience at war like?
You'd hear all this stuff on the news about WMDs and oil and all of this, and none of that mattered. Your political views don't matter, your religion doesn't matter, your race, color, creed doesn't matter. These dudes are trying to kill your ass all f***ing day. And that reality is really what I needed. The only thing that's going to protect me is have I exhausted all my resources. Are we all as trained as we can be? Yeah. Am I physically fit? Yeah. Am I mentally in tune with everything around me? Yes. Can't do anything more than that. Let's go.
Welcome back to Mulligan Brothers podcast, and today's episode is with DJ Shipley from SEAL Team 10. So many of you guys have heard this man's story before, but today we take a deeper dive into his life, the early days, his life through and into the military, and how he became absolutely obsessed with being the best. We talk about greats, about like Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, some of the greats in sports, and how he applied that methodology and teachings into the military. But then DJ had a moment in his life where he strips back the ego through plant medicines and other methods. And today he's this more enlightened version of himself. And he still carries these two methodologies, but he finds a balance right in the middle that led to this incredible conversation. Today's episode was powered by HUEL, a quick, affordable, nutritionally complete source of food. And you can find out more with the link down below. As you guys know, I absolutely love this stuff, and it came all the way to Virginia Beach to shoot these episodes with us as we drove 3,000 miles around America to make these next few episodes happen. And if you're wondering why I've got my nasal strips on today, is because I'm about to go train for the world's heaviest marathon. You can find out more down below and donate to my son's charity with a link in the description, where you can also win the ice bath through the giveaway. Let's dive into the episode.
For people who don't know, just introduce yourself, what you do, who you are, kind of where you're from, and we'll dive a little bit into your backstory as well after it.
I'm DJ Shipley. I'm a husband, father, entrepreneur, retired Navy SEAL, business owner, and I'm a knowledge transfer specialist. Like, people always get that part confused, like, what is a knowledge transfer specialist?
Let's dive into that. Yeah, what is a knowledge transfer specialist? Yeah.
It was a term we had in the team for if you're going to mentor someone or you're about to give them your personal time and attention. This is not a lesson. It's not a PowerPoint. This is something I am deeply passionate about, and I'm about to invest some serious time and energy into you. That's a knowledge transfer session. Like, I've spent my entire life, the last decade, cultivating this one thing. I've been polishing this one piece this whole time just to give it to you. And so it's not written down on a Post-it note. It's not sending an email. It's not a thing you can quantify. This is every ounce of me. I've been pouring this one single thing, and now I'm going to invest all of my time and attention to try to pass it to you. For us, it's almost a rite of passage. When somebody cares enough to give you their undivided attention, it can't just be synopsed in, here's a lesson. Here's me just passing something to you.
You know, is it a thing that the military guys that I see on TV and on podcasts are just the really well-spoken ones, or is communication just a really important thing that you guys have that sort of natural skill to it after the fact that you've been in the military?
I couldn't generalize and say everybody's the exact same. For the most part, they are. Most part, the guys are very articulate, they're very passionate, and they really enjoy teaching, even though that's typically not a primary role we get into. But it is because the teams are so small, because special operations is so small. It requires an unconventional touch, and a lot of that it's nonverbal communication. You met Cole today. Me and that dude can have a conversation and never say a spoken word. And we have countless times. Hand to the table and just, we'll get through this. Like, okay? Like, you don't have to say a single thing to me. I know exactly what you're talking about. And a lot of times, because you spend so much time with that group and that community, that's exactly what it is. Like, you can have conversations you could never have with your wife or your best friend or your best friend back home because he has no idea what you're talking about. You can with those guys. You can say anything to them. But a lot of times, because of the culture, the mystique, or the whatever, you don't. The things you should be sharing, you're not. So a lot of stuff we try to push now is take the time and Share it. Share the information. It only translates to every other thing you do.
We've spoken so much today about that, the idea of there was a frustration almost when you all eventually came together and started sharing that why haven't we done this in the longest amount, such a long time. So we'll definitely dive into that. One thing I just want to get a little bit of background on, and I obviously, the podcast with Sean Ryan, you went into this in depth, but the childhood, I think there was a few things that stood out to me when listening to that podcast episode was the hero of your father, like this idea that you had in your head of him being this superhero and the way you used to look at him. And I'm just curious as to listening to a little bit more about that relationship, growing up and, looking to your dad and then eventually treading in his footsteps after the fact as well.
I think for most people that would have been a negative. For me, it was positive. It's a lot of pressure on a little kid to try to follow in dad's footsteps. If you're a professional athlete you could think like how hard it has to be David Beckham's son, Michael Jordan's son, right? Like that's in this community, inside of whatever, inside of the police force, whatever you do, when you follow in your father's footsteps, it's a very hard thing to match up to, especially just, who he was and how I looked at him. It was a hard thing to navigate, but it gave you the motivation when you didn't have it. Like when you didn't know what to do, when you started losing any kind of motivation. It was like, nope, too important. And it really, for me, it always gave me a gear to shift into. Like that wasn't the reason, but it was the majority of it. I mean, your entire life, it's kind of been spoon fed into you. Like that's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do. And then when you do it, really limit your options to narrow your focus. As long as I can remember, this has been the only option we've ever truly talked about. Like really talked about, this is it. So when you get there, it's kind of a surreal experience. Like being 17 years old and getting off a bus and now you're going to Navy boot camp and a couple weeks later they're shaving your head and you're on the beach in California doing SEAL training. It's very different. Like my senior year of high school, I spent on the beach with a bunch of guys getting surf tortured.
There was something you spoke about, like when you had friends over, you would be doing push-ups and competitions and that kind of stuff. Is that like a culture that your dad fostered, or is that something that was like just in the family? This is what we do. We work out. Is there a specific story that would sort of?
I always remember that. I mean, my dad wasn't this physical phenom. I mean, he was big, he was intimidating, he was scary, but he was never that dude was in the gym 7 days a week and structured diet and all of that. Just that wasn't him, but he enjoyed a good physical challenge. And that was the easiest way to manage a kid with nothing really to do. I lived out in the middle of the country. It was just me and that farm. Had a couple friends who were close by, but nothing. It wasn't like a community of people. Like after you left school, it was just me. And my sister was about 5 years younger than me, so didn't have a lot of people to kind of play with. And he was gone a lot. 250, 300 days out of the year, I mean, he was gone. So it was just me and my mom. So anytime he did come back, anytime there was another figure in and around me, another male, he wanted to breed competition. So the easiest thing to do was to make us go do something. So, we'd run up to him like, hey, we're bored. What do we do? And he's like, let's see who can run down the mailbox the fastest. Ready to go. And we'd sprint. We'd come back. He's like, ooh, it's pretty close. Let's try it again. It's like, let's see who can pick up that 100-pound bag of feed and run it to the barn and back. Go. And he would just turn these relay races in a little bit of that competition, but he was really just starving for the attention. It's like, I just want to win, not because I want to win, because I want you to see me win. And a lot of that stuck with me my entire life. It's like I'm trying to get approval from someone, no matter what I'm doing. And at the end of the day, it's like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know, but it worked. Like hindsight's always 20/20, but at that moment in my life in the 90s, when you didn't have the internet, you didn't have cable TV out there, we didn't have anything. Like sometimes the only thing you can do is entertain yourself. And I thought being outside and being physical in nature was nothing but a benefit for me. It's really what I needed.
Those 250, 300 days that he wasn't there, like what was that work like on the farm? Like did that foster, like a hustle in you, like understand what true graft is and what hard work was?
It did, but those timelines were so hard to manage. And, if you asked him, he'd tell you, I was doing that as young as I can remember. I mean, from sleeping in the barn with animals that just given birth, I mean, all the way through. But I mean, waking up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and feeding everything we had, from horses to cows. I mean, we had dozens of chickens and geese and ducks, pheasants, quail, guinea hens. I mean, we had everything in between, and they have to get fed every single day, every single night. You got to clean out the pens, and the only time to do it is before you wake up. Every single day, I'm the one doing that. Every day we come home, I'm the one that has to do that. And a lot of it built up a kind of resentment. He'd come home and add a new animal to it. I'm like, man, I just want to skateboard. I just don't want to be tied down to this thing. And I feel like every time you come home with a new creature, I'm the one that has to take care of it. I mean, but it was good though. Like, it taught you a lot about accountability. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've messed that whole thing up. Like, I got to go pull the eggs and I get lazy and I don't do it for 2 or 3 days, and he'd make me go sell them in the neighborhood. And, you know, it's all good things because it's an intimidating thing for a 6-7-year-old kid to go knocking door to door trying to sell eggs. One of them happened to be one of my teachers, and I let those eggs sit too long. And she cracked one open and a baby chicken fell out of it. Called the old man, and you be getting the eggs every day? Yeah. Well, so-and-so just called, and you're like, oh, shit. Right? But it's the accountability. Like, if you don't do that, there are ramifications for everything you do. Everything I asked you to do, if you do not do it, that happens. That happens. And a lot of it you can't appreciate until you get older and you look back on it, like, whether those were purposeful messages or not, or just, you know, happenstance. Like, everything happened for a reason. Now I can appreciate it that much more. If you don't do this, this happens. You have to do this. And setting the alarm clock every single morning, you can't push it 15 minutes to the right because then you miss the bus, and then your mom has to take you. Your sister's on a different timeline. It's just all the things that have to line up. And a lot of it is just sacrifice your sleep. Like, if you have to get it done, sacrifices must be made. So maybe you're not staying up till 10 o'clock. Maybe you're going to bed at 8 because you have to wake up at 4. Okay.
You say you're in the middle of the country, you know, not really around any cities or anything.
I mean, I had my sister who was 5, but I mean, you've seen it. Like, we're kind of out in the country here. And I had a little neighborhood I'd skateboard in, but most of the kids, like, they weren't over at my house. I was, any free time I had, I was skateboarding.
How did you find skateboarding?
One of the older kids in the neighborhood. And it was one of the few things I could do in isolation with no one else there. I didn't need you to take me to practice. I didn't need you to do anything for me. I could just sit out there. And I love the repetition of it, because I'm not a good student by nature. I need endless repetition over and over and over. And I can remember being young, way too young to be doing this. And I used to watch all my favorite skaters, and I'd watch them, and I'd get a trick obsessed in my head, and I'd write it down. Like, when I do this 25 times in a row, I've got it. I'd get to 23, miss 24. Start over and over and over again. Just that repetitive nature, when you finally get it, and like, now I have it. It's like, I'm not very good, but I am consistent. I'm not going to be the best. Not going to happen. But I will be consistent. And the tricks that I can do, I'll do every time. Like, when I can go 10 out of 10, it builds a confidence you just can't ignore. Like, I know I can hit that. You sure? Because I put in all the reps. And, you know, I don't know if that was part of my childhood or just part of the stuff I kind of stole from the old man, but, you know, it's, did you exhaust all the resources? Like, I've done everything I could. It's not for a lack of effort. If I didn't make it, I'm just not good enough. I need more time. It's not for a half-assed attempt. Like, I've exhausted all resource to be as good at that one thing as I possibly can, and I'm just not there yet.
What was the reasoning for not going down the skateboard path versus the military?
He kicked me out of the house, essentially.
And he told you that was a line to not cross?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't like the skateboard thing anyway. I loved it because it was the only thing I could do that wasn't being a Navy SEAL, right? So it gave me a freedom. It gave me a creative outlook where I could do whatever I wanted to. I could be whoever I wanted to. I could listen to whatever music I wanted to, and I could just zen out, and I would. You know, I have ADHD, never took medication for it, and it wasn't until I found skateboarding where I realized, like, this can be a superpower. Like, I can't apply this to anything else, but I can do it for this. Like, I can predict my future. I can read lines that nobody else can see, and I'm passionate about this one thing, and if I can figure out how to compartmentalize and package this passion for this one thing and make that a universal, I'm on to something magical here. I just never really had the opportunity to do it. And it wasn't until I got in the teams that I realized that. Like, school was very hard for me. Math was terrible for me. I'm really good at writing, creative writing, stuff like that. I can pull that off really well. I'm good at history, but I hate math. And overall, I hated school. I never wanted to be there, never had a passion for it. And skateboarding was really the thing that kind of sent me over the edge. That's what I wanted to do. And I came home one day and we kind of got into a big blowout. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't anything. I'll put it this way, I'm 40 now and I've never had handcuffs put on me, so it couldn't have been that bad. But it was bad enough for him to go to school. And I came home and there's a stack of paperwork and he's like, you're going to graduate high school in 2 months and you're getting out of my house. It's my junior year. The towers had just fell. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm done. You're out. You can join the Navy. You can get a job at Home Depot. He's like, I don't care. You graduate in 2 months, you're out. Okay, I guess I'm going to be a SEAL. And he's like, I don't care what you do. You don't have to be a SEAL. So when I joined, and if you talk to anybody who was in the special operations community, I'd say 90% of them, they join with a contract guaranteeing them a slot to BUD/S. Like, you're guaranteed, you graduate this, pass this test, you'll go to BUD/S. I didn't have any of that. I had nothing but waivers and there's no guarantee. And I went to boot camp on a whim. Like, it was essentially a handshake deal. Like, yeah, when I get there, take the screen test like everybody else and you'll pass it and you'll get through. And not advised by anybody who wants to join the military. That is it's not the best way to do it. Definitely not the safe option. But I did. Graduated high school like 2 months later. And I think in that process, I kind of switched him. Because he didn't care what I did. Joined Marine Corps, joined the regular Navy. I don't care. Don't go to BUD/S. Go to BUD/S. I don't care. And I think about 2 weeks after that, I made the shift. I was like, well, if you're going to boot me out of here, I'll just do it now. Like, I wanted to go to San Diego. I wanted to try to be a skateboarder. If you're not going to let me do that, then I'll just be a SEAL. Like, that was essentially my fallback plan. And I just started training every day. And we did the most unconventional things, but I mean, he knew how to get through it. So, I mean, we'd sit on the living room table with, he'd put weights on the end of my feet and I'd do ankle rotations to strengthen up your ankles for finning, swimming to fin zone, just the whole thing, just really, really getting ready for it. And I was always kind of spiritual, not religious by any stretch, but very spiritual. And I'd do these deep meditation walks where I would just envision how cold the water was, what the sand felt like, what it sounded like. Because I've heard BUD/S in my mind a million times. I've seen the videos, I've grown up around it, and I knew what the end state was. I just didn't know all the different actual steps I had to take to get there. I knew we went to BUD/S, I knew all the big pieces because I've grown up in it. And a lot of that was the unknown. Like, I know, but I don't know. I understand the finished article, what I want to be. I just don't know every single step to get there. And the unknown was hard for me. So when I went out to California, I was very different than most kids. I was very young. I didn't know anything. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a cell phone. I couldn't buy anything. Couldn't buy beer. Couldn't drink a beer. And I basically just sat there in that barracks room and just focused on BUD/S. And it was not easy for me. My BUD/S experience, as we talk about with like Cole, trauma's trauma for everybody. Difficulty that's a personal thing. What might be ultra difficult for you might be a breeze for me. I might not stress it. I can just do it. BUD/S is like that for a lot of guys. BUD/S is like that for Cole. Professional athlete, triathlete, an amazing swimmer. He cruised through BUD/S. I didn't. My BUD/S story was very, very different. And if I'm being honest, if I had to go through right now in the same condition I was in 2002, they wouldn't even take me now. You have to be such a physical phenom to even get orders to BUD/S now that my whole trajectory would have been thrown off completely. And just by the time, the place, how young I was, how fast I healed, that's really how I had a leg up on anybody. Is I could get hurt the same way you could, and I could bounce back on Monday like it never happened. Well, a lot of guys get hurt, and they just continue getting hurt.
What does a snapshot of BUD/S look like? Like, how would you describe it?
From the outside looking in, it is a normal school in the military. They have a start time, they have an end time, they feed you 3 times a day. They have cadre that go home to their wives every night. I mean, it's a normal Navy school, but from the hours they have you, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like you're on an island they control. They control the weather, they control the tides, the sunset, they control it all. And whatever they want to have happen, it happens. So you'll wake up at 4 a.m. will be your first muster. You go do we'll call it a circle PT, basically out on a grinder, big flat top of pavement. The whole class will run in there. You have to run everywhere you go. You can't walk while you're in buds. You're always jogging no matter what. To catch you walking gets pretty bad. So you'll run in, you all get in formation, screaming, hooting and hollering, and some freak will walk out of that building, sipping a cup of coffee, and he's a physical phenom. At whatever it is he's about to do, he's the best at. I mean, we have instructors that can knock out sets of 40, 50 pull-ups, and I know people are like, no, you can't. There are people in that organization that will knock out sets of 25 and hang from one arm and wait for you to quit and just continue doing that cycle. They'll do 1,000 8-count bodybuilders, continuous, nonstop, 1,000 4-count flutter kicks, and they'll just drink coffee and talk shit while they do it. They're on a different level, and it's because they understand the process and they're not doing it every single day. So when they go on these runs, they'll get the fastest dude to set the pace, and he'll go down that beach at, 5.5 minute mile and cruise it the entire way. And you're blowing snot trying to catch up to him, and it looks like it's effortless. So they have this Herculean approach that you'll never be able to get there. You'll never be able to chase them. You're chasing greatness all day long is what it feels like. And then I understand the reality. Like, I know exactly what happens at the end of this course. I know exactly how that guy really is because I've got to see it. All these other guys haven't. I was like, it's not putting on a show, and in the moment, you never get to think that. Like, I know this guy. Because a lot of the instructors I actually did know. They grew up with my dad, and I knew exactly who they were, but it's so different when you're in the moment. It's like, I can't say your name. I can't ask you a question. I am just stuck in this. And that goes on and on. You basically go from meal to meal, and the evolutions get harder, the times get faster, the push-ups increase, the pull-ups increase, the runs increase, and times get faster. So the whole time you're going through, you're getting more broken down, but you're getting faster and stronger, and they're showing it. So all the standards increase, which you could get away with 3 weeks ago, you can't get away with now. Now it's exponentially harder. And basically do that for, and how long the process is now, 6 months, 9 months, and then follow on training after that.
So then what was your first experience at war like? Like, is there a long gap between that training and
it's about a 2-year cycle. I came in 2002, did my initial block of training, came through. They let us volunteer. So we had an opportunity to check into a team early and get right into a platoon and go to Iraq early. Iraq had just kicked off. So we were just trying to rush to get in Iraq. And we didn't hear much. Like, my dad was already retired out, so we didn't get to hear about all the daily fighting and what it was really like. So a lot of it was hearsay. A lot of it was just on the news. Or you talk to cadre, the new bud instructors that just came back from Iraq or Afghanistan. So they were like the new hotness. They'd walk around the compound, you just look at them. Dude, he just came back from Iraq. You know what I mean? It's like they always had this air of mystique to them. And then we got there. Checking into the team was different because I knew a lot of the guys. I knew a lot of the senior guys. I'd kind of grown up with them, but I'm not connected to them. It was never a, hey, what's up? It was never like that. And they made it known. Like, some of the guys I've known my entire life. Like, gave birth, like his wife gave birth next to my mother, like really close. Never. Just kept them off to the side. And then we went to Iraq, and I felt like a fish out of water for the first couple weeks. Like, I couldn't believe it was happening because I wanted it. Like, I wanted to go to Iraq so bad. I wanted to go to Afghanistan. I wanted to get into a fight. And then when you got there, I felt so immature, and not immature like maturity wise, but immature in life. Like, it was hard for me to wrap my head around because you'd hear all this stuff on the news about WMDs and oil and all of this and, all this negative spin they would put on it, and none of that mattered. None of it mattered. Your political views don't matter. Your religion doesn't matter. Your race, color, creed doesn't matter. These dudes are trying to kill your ass all fucking day. And it was. And a lot of it, you felt helpless because you would just drive these routes trying to get from base to base, and you would just see this wreckage on the side of the road. It's just, there's no way anybody survived that. Not a chance. And you're just waiting. So a lot of it, you get on these roads and you'd be on a breath hold, man, as long as you could go, and you're just, I mean, we had one where you'd have these huge convoys we'd be driving, and you got the bridges you drive under, and these dudes would sit there on the other side of the bridge. So you would enter on the left side or enter on the right side, you'd come out on the left, and everybody would zigzag because these dudes would sit on top and they'd pull pins on grenades. And as soon as you drove through, they'd launch them, trying to land them inside of your turret. It's like, and there's just people up there the whole time. So there's nothing you can do. You can't just shoot them. They're not brandishing anything. You're just waiting for a tink, tink, and that's it. So every time you drive on them, you're just looking at these people, like waiting for something to lob over and just, oh God. And you'd hear explosions in the distance or up in front of you or behind you. You're like, oh my God, when's it going to happen? And because of the quarantine and the lockdown, they had everybody on. I mean, we went weeks. You wouldn't see anybody. We'd do daytime patrol. You'd see everybody out. And then as soon as the sun would set, ghost town. I mean, nobody. We went out dozens of times. I never saw anybody. Never. You're like, what is going on here? Like, is there anybody even here? And then all of a sudden, sure as shit, you got to give them time. Now they all start to come out. It's like, oh, okay. Like, this is real. These people are actually trying to kill us all. And it doesn't matter why you're here. Like, you're here to try to liberate people. You're here to try to make the country. Doesn't matter. They don't care. And once you kind of get over that, you realize that it doesn't matter why you're here. You're here and you're going to stay here, and you got to finish this entire job, and you got to be as safe as possible. I think for me, that trip to 2005, we lost the guys in Afghanistan, and that was a huge culture shock. That was probably the dose of reality that everybody needed, that it doesn't matter how fancy you are, how strong you are, how good you can shoot, how elite your team is. If you never get a chance to fight, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many kids you have. It doesn't matter how beautiful your wife is. Gone in an instant. And that reality is really what I needed. The only thing that's going to protect me is, have I exhausted all my resources? Have I spent every single minute training as hard as I can? Have everybody here trained as hard as they could? And if not, why not? Do you not understand the reality? Or have you lost sight of it? And a lot of that, back in the day, we'd lose sight. I lost sight countless times. Drinking, fighting, doing stuff we shouldn't have been doing. Not being a professional. It takes a couple times of really, really close calls or being jammed up in a bad situation and barely coming out of it to realign your focus. These are real bullets, man. Those are real grenades, and those are real people that are trying to kill you. And if you are just not better than they are, they're going to get you. And a lot of the times, it doesn't even matter. You understand it's a timing thing. And you can have the best tactic in the world, the most trained dude in the world. And if you're looking that way, when that dude comes out of that door, doesn't matter how good you are. You'll never see him coming. A lot of it, you don't want to chalk it up to fate, but a lot of it is. A lot of it you can't control. If you spend your whole time obsessing over that, it really, to me, it weeds down your confidence. It's like, I've exhausted everything I can. And if my plane gets shot down, my plane gets shot down. There's nothing I can do about that. I can't fly the plane too. Can't do it all. But have we exhausted all our resources to take out all the variables we can? Yeah. Are we all as trained as we can be? Yeah. Am I physically fit? Yeah. Am I mentally in tune with everything around me? Yes. Can't do anything more than that. Let's go. I feel like the more and more you do it, the more confidence you build after a while, but it takes a little bit.
I want to dive into the obsession you developed in a second, like of just the details and being so specific. But just whilst we're on this point, was there a moment when you were first deployed, not knowing what to expect, and then at some point realizing like, oh shit, this is real, like this is really real? Was there a specific moment that stands out to you?
In Iraq, right off the very beginning, just the way they flew into country was one of the scariest things I've ever been a part of. I mean, they were yanking and banking. I mean, flares were going off, and it was just part of the protocol back then. But I'd never seen anything like that. And nobody in that entire group that deployed with us had ever been to Iraq. And whether they want to admit it or not, they've never seen anything like that either. It was scary as shit. I mean, we were an hour out. They're breaking open all the boxes, body armor, nods are going on. I mean, I thought we were going to land like we just dropped a landing craft on, Normandy. Like I thought we were going. And nope, backed all our trucks off. We're on a base. Okay. And it wasn't until you started to see the aftermath. Like you've been there for 24 hours and you hear about Marine Division so-and-so and this group getting blown up. And, they're always calling for O-negative blood every hour on the hour. And you're like, what's up with all the O-negative blood? And you're like, universal donor. I'm a universal donor. I'm just over there farming out blood this whole time. It's like, because everybody's getting blown up. It's like, it's just not happening to us. We're just missing it over and over and over again. It's like, are we just that good? Are we just that lucky? And back in the day, you didn't know the difference. Like, are we just so trained these guys just don't want to mess with us? And that's what a lot of guys would tell ourselves. That we just look aggressive, so they're not messing with us. That's not the truth. That's not the truth at all. They don't care who you are. It's just a timing thing. They're just waiting for the next vehicle. And we're never that next vehicle. We just missed it. And then when Hilo got shot down in Afghanistan, that really was a reality check that it doesn't matter. The dudes who were on that helicopter, guys who were on the ground, were so good, so trained, so experienced, and it did not matter. The pilots, you couldn't have picked better pilots on Earth. I mean, they were the best pilots that have ever flown aircraft. They just are. Still got shot out of the sky. Doesn't matter. Like when you take that away, you take out that blanket of, like you show them that blanket of vulnerability, like you're not invincible, dude. You are not. That patch, that flag you have on means shit. Nothing. It's not going to protect you. It will not. The only thing that's going to protect you is timing. Control the variables all you want to. If they shoot you out of the sky, it doesn't matter how tough you are on the way down. It's like, well, what do we do? Control the things you can't control. Like I can control my output. I control my work effort. Like I can put as much in this as humanly possible, and I can tell you I'll go the entire way. But if they never give me the opportunity, it's like, that's really what I struggled with is, what if I never get the opportunity to fight? What if I get blown up? I wake up, both my legs are gone, both my arms are gone. Like I'm 19 years old. What? I don't want this to happen. That was my big fear, is that I'd get crushed, I'd get blown up, I'd get killed, and I'd never have a chance. It's like, I don't want that.
As a 19-year-old, your fear was that you couldn't prove yourself, and so something would happen before you could have proved yourself.
Exactly. And I'd be some random new guy, some 19-year-old Navy SEAL, and flash on the screen and be gone. Like, it's not how I want to go out. It's not how I want to. Like, give me something. I want some experience. I do want to fight. I do want to do this for my entire career. And I think most of the guys would say that. Like everybody wanted to deploy.
I mean, so this is interesting to me because I've not had this conversation before. So then, after fighting for the first time, or having that first substantial fight, was there a relief?
I talked to this not too long ago. Somebody asked, how did you feel after your first engagement with the enemy? Like the first time you were getting shot at and returning fire and doing the whole thing. And I said it was a sign of relief. It was like, oh, thank you, God, that's out of the way. It's like getting into a fist fight. Just punch me in the face so we can get this whole thing started. Like I'm all about being on the offensive, but I want to get into a real fight. Like, let's really go. And when it happened, I think, for one, it confirmed a lot of the training you were doing was actually going to work. Built a little bit of confidence in the group and confidence that I can actually pull this off. Like, that dude has been training for months to kill me. He should have, and he didn't. Okay, well, once we chalk it up to luck, let's see what happens 2, 3, 4, 5, over and over and over, like still successful. Okay, like we might be onto something here. Like this might actually be working. And you start to get in behind the deeper layers of it, really obsessing over the craft and really getting into it. And it's like, well, how do I buy down as much risk as possible? You live it. Become that method actor. Become Daniel Day-Lewis. Like really, really immerse yourself in it. Really, really live it all day, every day. And you won't know the difference between training and reality. It's like now your training becomes so realistic, it ingrains in you. Like, not to make it super weird, but I mean, that's a lot of what it is. You'll see guys in training that there is zero difference. If you were to record them, they don't know it in wherever on a training mission. Flash forward to Afghanistan, the exact same scenario, you'd have no idea where they are. It looks the exact same, the mannerisms are the same. If it's a paint round going by them, like a paintball or an actual AK-40, their body change doesn't. It's the exact same. The reactions are the exact same because in their mind, it's all real. It's like when you do that, it telegraphs a positive body language you can't unsee. Once you see it, that's what everybody needs to see, exactly what he's going to do for real. And then when you see it in real time, you're like, I've seen that 55 times. I already know what this is. I already know exactly what he's going to do now. And they will. And you can start to predict the future. How best can I support him? Where can I move to be at that angle? Where can I do this? Where can I do that? Because now I can read exactly what you're thinking, because all our training is the exact same. So when I look 30 feet down the hallway and I see you doing something, I know exactly what you're thinking. I know because I've seen it 1,000 times.
I hope you're enjoying today's episode so far. It was sponsored and powered by HUEL, a quick, affordable, nutritionally complete source of food that has absolutely changed my life. As you guys know, for the past few years, I've been drinking HUEL, and this trip was no different. We drove 3,000 miles around America, filming 6 interviews, running around 100 miles and lifting over 100 kilos as well as we did those miles. And all of it was powered by HUEL Black Edition, which is now available in the US. If you want to find out more about HUEL, go to the link in the description where you can get exclusive offers. Let's dive back into the episode.
You know, when you started to get into the obsession and you were really like deep into it, like it was just everything. The switch was on. You know, we talked about the switch earlier today, but the switch was on at all times, 100% of the time. When you was in those training moments and maybe, you know, one of your brothers beside you got shot with a paintball, or you got shot with a paintball, what was that like when you were really fully switched on? Like, did it mean something to you to see someone get hit or you get hit? Or
Not like that. A lot of it was a realization, like some of the stuff we talk about now, is people take the paint rounds, the training rounds, like they're paintballs. Brush it off, I'll wash my pants. It's not how it is in reality. And for the people that haven't seen it, you have to educate them. It's like, yeah, it's a pretty good run. Like, anybody get hit? Yeah, I got shot twice. I got shot. You got shot. 6 dudes took rounds? Where? Oh, I took one through the elbow, took one to the thigh, took one high in the hip. Let's talk about that. Actually looks like you just took an AK-47 from 12 feet in the crook of your arm. The chances you ever bending that arm again, 1,000,000,000 to 1. Chances you ever deploying again, 1,000,000,000 to 1. Like, dishes are done with you, my friend. Like, you're not just brushing that off. It's like you just got shot high in the femur. Like, femur shattered, you're not moving. Take 3 guys to carry you. You're 260. Takes 3 guys to carry you now. 3 guys out of the fight. The whole thing just starts to compound on itself. It's like, now think about you actually coming back. See, you make a full recovery. How are you going to be holding up mentally? Not very good. The last time you did this thing, you got shot with an AK round, almost died. It's a very hard thing to come back from. You ask the guys that have been shot, like Craig Head and some of these guys, it's a hard thing to come back from. It's no different than a parachute malfunction. As soon as you have a bad cutaway, get right back up and do another one. If not, you're just going to sit there and relive that memory over and over and over again. Training's the same way. You make it the same way, and we'd spin up on some of these training ops, and they're sketchy. They're really sketchy. And you're trying to solve the problem. You're like, I don't see a way of us making this. It's like, now you have to sit there with that realization, just play it over in your mind. You're like, there's got to be a way. Got to be a way. Got to be faster. Got to be this. Got to be that. And you start to just chew away at the problem over and over. But it is like, you come home, and I mean, I've taken paint rounds in the face before, and you come home and you've got some big burr, some big gash on the side of your face, and wife's like, what happened? Like, I took a paint round. Then you're in there thinking about the reality of it. I'm not coming home from that one. I'm not. The role players play a very realistic role, and that dude would have shot me right in the face. And I trained my ass off. Just, it's the nature of the beast, man. When you get grown people that are pointing machine guns at each other, shooting in close proximity, the chance of you getting hit are pretty high. Like, all the little pieces have to come in to make that job as safe as possible, and it's going to be very unconventional. Don't be running around with your boots bloused. It's not the way it's going to be. And I think that was the importance of the training. Like, once you saw it, like once you got there and you saw the older guys, the more senior guys, and you saw their routine, you saw what they did, it was so methodical. Everything they did, the methodology behind training was so different than I had ever seen before. And it only made sense when you heard it. You're like, okay, yeah. Yeah, they're not training to shoot paper targets. They're not. You're taking in all the environmentals of who that person is, how many kids they have. It really did. It became hunting is what it became. And it's like, you have to treat it like it's the most dangerous game you'll ever play, because it is. It's like the quote from Hemingway. It's what it is, man. The hunting of man. You hunt armed men long enough and enjoy it, you'll never care for anything else thereafter. That's the truth. There's a lot of pressure on you to do it over and over again. My hardest thing was coming back and convincing her that it wasn't going to happen to me. Because once you've lived through it once, and she's already a Gold Star wife, she's already lived through this nightmare. And I just keep deploying over and over and over. And, she hears the wives talk. They do. That's some of the downfall of it, is one of your buddies will come home and they'll share with his wife some super close call. She tells your wife, she's like, how's DJ holding up? What? She's like, oh, I heard about this. And she's like, I didn't hear about that. Next thing you know, the whole thing. Why didn't you tell me? Nothing to tell you. Why would I tell you that? Try to worry you? No, you tell her it's dead. There's nothing going on here. It's boring. You're still going out. You just don't tell her. Like, if you're going to get a bad phone call, I want it to come out of nowhere. Not, hey, we're going out every night. It's the best time of my whole life. Oh my God. Because then she's expecting it. Dead. Bad weather. We're not doing anything. Blah, blah, blah. Still lose bad internet connections. What most guys do. That's what I did. Okay, I'm not going to talk to you for a couple of days. Satellite's shit here. So if you don't hear it, don't worry about it. It's not the reality. Just what you tell them, so you don't have to have this weird conversation on the phone trying to talk them off a ledge. Because it's nerve-wracking for them.
Would you say that kind of thing, like, it's bad communications when you knew you was doing tougher stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you got on a run where you think you were going out every day and it's like progressively getting more dangerous and more dangerous, don't tell them that. They don't need to know that. You know, I mean, you're supposed to not communicate anyway, but that's just not reality. I mean, if you're going to be out working, you tell them, like, I'm going to be gone for a couple of days working. You genuinely just don't share that information because you don't want them stressed out. They got to manage the house. They've got kids. They got jobs. They got other commitments. And the last thing they need is to spend 23 hours a day focused on you. Like, you're a million miles away. But it's hard, though, especially when you do want to talk or when you can't talk. Some of the stuff you want to talk about, you can't share with the boys. Who are you going to share it with? Nobody. You just isolate, and it's never a good recipe.
So, I mean, the first adjustment back to civilian life, you know, like when you came back, had the obsession with the safety element of, you know, trying to stay safe, doing absolutely everything that you could in your training, had that kicked in after the first deployment? No. So that took a few. So what was your first experience coming back to civilian life?
I got a speeding ticket within my first 30 minutes of being home. I pulled out of the team. I took a left. We were all going to go. I didn't drink I used to drink Corona back in the day on a fake ID. And all I wanted was a Corona with the boys at a certain bar we have down the road. I was like, that's all I want. So we went to Germany for a couple weeks. Like, get a beer. I'm like, nope. I'm waiting till we get stateside, get a Corona. I'll be good. That's all I wanted. I pulled out of the team, took a left, and started hauling ass down the road. And I don't know what was going on. I disregarded everything. And maybe that's just an immaturity thing. But there are no red lights in Iraq. There's no yield. There's no stop. There's whatever you want to do, whatever you have to do. If cars are in your way, you push them off the road. If they're not pushing off the road, you put them off the road, right? So for me, I came around and cars are braking. I'm in the median and like I'm blowing through. It's a hard stop at a red, and I blow through the red light. And before I know it, I mean, I've only gone 3 miles, got pulled over. I forget what I was doing. Just call it 70 and a 45. He's like, what the f are you doing? I'm not going to make an excuse right now. I'm just going to tell you, I just came off a plane from Iraq 30 minutes ago. And it's my first time driving in the last 6 months on a road with actual lights on it. I apologize. If I remember correctly, he was a former Marine and he cut me some slack and let me go. And he's like, we are not in Iraq anymore, dude. Like, you got to be able to power it down. I mean, I remember just sitting there, like, just taking in all the noise and all the people and all the bullshit. And you kind of just look back at them and you hear what they're talking about. You see what they're talking about, and it's hard to relate to them. Like, it's hard for me to sit back here and hear you complain about that when you have no idea what's happening overseas. I'm not even talking about the Iraqi people. I'm talking about Marines that are just getting decimated right now, so you can sit here and talk shit about our president. Like, for me, it infuriated me. Like, it doesn't matter who's in the office right now. We're in that country right now, and they're actively trying to kill us all, and we're only here so you can sit here and talk that nonsense. Like, I don't know, for me, it made me super proud to be a patriot. Like, I think when I came back from that, I was really bitten by the bug. Like, I've never been more proud to be a patriot than after I came back from that first tour, because then I saw it. I saw how far people would go for freedom. And there were some people that stopped what they were doing and joined the military who had no business joining the military. Some super high level people with some really diverse educations that could have made a shit ton of money, stopped what they were doing and joined the Army, joined the Marine Corps, joined the Navy to go serve. And I thought it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And you get to meet them when you're over there. a normal dude just sitting next to you, and you're like, you did what? He's like, oh yeah, I did blah, 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 Microsoft, this and that, like VP of so-and-so. What are you doing here? He's like, I couldn't sit back. He's like, my father didn't serve, my grandfather didn't serve. He's like, I am not about to sit back here and let my kids fight this war. I'm not doing that. Okay. Like really set it back in balance, like how far people are willing to go. No, for me, it was a huge honor. I'd say it to everybody. Like, don't thank me for my service. Like, I would have done that shit for free. I loved it. I still do.
What was was there a bigger investment in the patriotism? Like, was it 9/11? Was there a specific situation that happened?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 9/11 for everybody. I mean, like when that thing happened, anybody who wasn't beating that war drum immediately just got cast aside. Like if you're not wearing an American flag, if you're not rocking one off the front of your porch right now, like what is wrong with you? It became super cool to be patriotic. Every musician was doing it, and it just, I mean, I don't know if you remember that. I mean, we banned at all fast food chains, we stopped calling them French fries for probably a decade because they wouldn't get on board with the Iraq war. We called them freedom fries for a long time.
I do remember that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you're not on board with this, get away from me. You know what I mean? It just showed like how far you're willing to go. Like we did it for you. You guys can come back and help us right now. And for the people that did, our allies, like there's an unconventional love there that it's hard to express, especially with the UK guys. Like we love those dudes. They were great, man. So it was cool. It was interesting. Yeah, a huge amount of patriotism after that first pump.
I don't want to go off on a tangent, but just mentioning the British guys there is in the UK now, and this is a huge difference I see between the US and the UK, is we can drive down the street and most people have an American flag flying outside their house. And you see that all over the country. In the UK, it's controversial to fly the England flag. It's very, we've just, in Nottingham, our hometown, they've just put up this huge England flag on the council buildings. And you can, as soon as you walk in, it's this gigantic flag, which is fairly standard, you'd expect, but there's been a lot of backlash around it. It's been national news that this England flag is flying in England.
Fly Union Jack, you're fine? They just don't want you to fly
Union Jack's
England
fine, yeah. It's that England, some people feel like it represents something else. It's racist or, excludes people. But yeah, but the way you guys fly, I mean, you got American flag, we've got American flag, we've got one outside for sure. All your neighbors had them. It's just a standard thing in America, celebrated.
Yeah, I mean, it should be.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talk about that, like be a pro in the ownership where you come from. When we originally started that whole push, it wasn't anything about America above anybody else. I want Germans to be proud to be German, want Frenchmen to be proud to be French, want Englishmen to be proud to be from England. I mean, the whole thing, it's the overall patriotic approach. Like, I don't care where the you're from. If you're a patriot, you have accountability over your nation and you're representing them with everything you do. That's what we need. We need people that it's constantly inside of the back of their mind is what I'm doing now represent my country well. Does it make people proud to be an American, what I'm about to say? And if I don't, I should shut my mouth and not say it. Everybody just adopt that policy and we'd be so much better off. Is what I'm saying right now about to make the country better? No, then don't say it.
Yeah, I do think the foundation of that, of being proud of where you're from, it sets a really good foundation for your family as well. Like protecting your family and being proud of who your brother, your sister, your mother are, and having the same values that you have for your country, for your family, looking after people. And I think again, in England, it's those kind of things maybe are not there as much. Maybe that loyalty is not there as much. But we could talk about that for ages. But I do need to try and stay on track because we've spoken today about the ego quite a lot and how where you are today required a death of the ego. But what I want to do is just go into the story of how it developed and how deep you got with it at one point. Like you really, really did build that up. And I think from listening to the story, I think I'm guessing it started before this, but where it really started to build was those obsession over the details. Like how deep and dark you went with that was really far. Like you pushed it really far. I mean, would you be able to explain of when that started, like when you really started to get obsessive with absolutely everything?
It really started in my third deployment. We had a leader come in that was from development group. He came in and his methodology was so different because of where he came from. Everything that he spit out of his mouth, I scooped up as the gospel. Everything he said, because everything he said made so much sense. It wasn't doctrine. It wasn't written in a book. It wasn't force-fed down your throat. It wasn't blouse your boots and cut your hair. It was very unconventional. And because of the way it was, it felt more like a samurai culture. Like everything he says is preparing you for that. Everything you do is preparing you for that one singular thing. Like, well, if you take everything you do over the course of the day and everything I do has an overlay effect with the end state, I'm naturally going to be better. If I stay on topic and I don't let myself stray too far, can I justify everything I do throughout my day? Did it support that? Did I do fitness? Yep. Why did I do fitness? Because it makes me good at that. How's your mindset? Great. I was in a cold plunge today. I was in a float tank yesterday. I'm doing all these things. I'm getting my mindset and I get my mental clarity ready for that, so I can process more information faster. Spending time with the team? Nothing but time with the team. Why? Because I want to know what you're thinking. I want to be able to read your body language from 30 feet down the hallway and teleport myself there to best support you. I need to spend time with the team. Everything I'm wearing, everything I'm listening to, everything I'm saying, does it represent the team in everything I do? Yeah. Am I perfect 100% of the time? Absolutely not. But it's that awareness that everything I do has a cause and effect to it. If I don't perform, that dude gets killed. Can I live with myself if that happens? No. So how do I control that? I control as many variables as I possibly can. I exhaust every resource I can to be as good as I possibly can be, so at least I can fall back and look myself in the mirror and go, not for a lack of effort. I did everything I could. I try to read the body language. I try to teleport myself there. I train on the flat range. I jump. I do everything I can to be as connected to this process because it's the only one that really matters. And a lot of it was purpose-built compartmentalization. Like I've got to be able to set up walls and boundaries. You seen the movie Heat?
Yeah.
It's Robert De Niro from Heat. Don't get attached to anything you can't walk away from 30 seconds flat. Like, am I willing to walk away from my family right now and get on this airplane and never see them again? Yeah. Why? Because I love everybody on this airplane equally. Because I love this job more than I should. So yeah, I'm willing to sacrifice them and their future to get on this airplane with you because this is the only thing I want to do. So when you do that, your whole routine really starts to line in. And it makes it really easy to justify the separation. So the not coming home, the staying late, the volunteering for trips and extra deployments and staying late on deployment and all the things you do, it's because it makes me better. And at the end of the day, that's what you were trying to convince. Well, so-and-so's husband just got killed. That won't happen to me. Why? Because I train more. Do you train more than him? Yeah. Do you really? Like, no. You train just as much as me. I'm just lying to myself. I'm trying to self-justify it. And I think a lot of it, if you listen to that episode with Sean, you heard me talk about Nick Check. I think that was the one I had the hardest time with. I still haven't processed that. I really compartmentalized that whole thing and kind of keep it buried down. But he was really the true north. He lived down the road. He came over and borrowed my dog. He hung with my wife all the time. And he was the crutch I used. Like, why do you do this? Because I have to be able to perform at that level. You see him, you know him. You see what standard we're up against. Like, I have to be able to perform at that level. I have to. And he was always training, always in a gym, always fighting. Just, he was a pro. And she knew it. And she knew everybody else who was in that team was the exact same way. In order for me to hold the standard, meet the minimum standard, I have to do at least that. I was like, I can't do that as a 9 to 5. This is not working at some shoe store. Like, I need to do this all day, every day. It's the only thing I need to be. And I justified by telling her that nobody's going to die if I'm a 60% husband. Nobody. If I'm gone and I miss her second birthday, she will never know. She won't remember. But if I'm not there for her 16th birthday, she'll remember that. Like, it's a weird balance to do, especially when it's happening over and over and over again. It's like, I want to do this job until I'm 60. I want to do it as long as humanly possible, and I don't want to get killed doing it. But if that's what it takes, it's what it takes. I don't want to come home and have to lie about who I am or what I'm doing or the things I'm truly passionate about because it hurts your ego. And that's a lot of what it was, is I built myself into a character that didn't have anything externally drawn from him. I was single. Like, in my mindset, I was single. When I'd come home, I'd pretend to be a husband, I'd pretend to be a father, but I really couldn't, because all I wanted to do was go back to work. And that's not because of anything else other than I love that job so much. And everybody that does the exact same thing. That's why there's such a fall from grace when you leave it. Because you never tell yourself you're going to leave it. It's never part of the plan. Not for the people that are really living it day in and day out. Like, it's too much fun. Like, the shit talk, the banter back and forth, the showing up early, the staying late, the everything. Living out of vans and hotel rooms and skydiving, just everything you do together, it's the best time you've ever had. And when you don't have it anymore, it's miserable. Now, if you haven't set yourself up to be able to get out and have a successful transition, it's even worse. And that's what happens to a lot of guys, is they are not prepared to leave. They don't want to leave. They never really thought about it. You know, they come with the idea like, oh, I'll get out and I'll work at Goldman Sachs, or I'll get out and I'll do this. You've never really thought about it. You never really thought about what happens on Monday when you're out of the text chain. There's no email chats. There's nobody that's ever going to call you again and tell you to put that gear on. You're never going to do it again. That's a hard thing to swallow when you've only been putting that on for the last, for me, 17 years of my life. Like, it's kind of it's a surreal moment. And it's one you don't want to live over and over again. How did I get here? How do I get out of here? How do I get that back on? It's a realization it's never going to happen.
I mean, you fought it for a long time. Like, there was many moments, by the sounds of it, where you were actively being pulled aside, being told to stop many times, and you kind of pushed as hard as you could to continue.
I'd say that's my fault. I mean, that's everybody's fault. You fall in love with that job and you'll do anything to stay there. It's no different than alcoholic. You'll just hide it. Guys hide some pretty serious injuries. I mean, when I was going through training, I broke my femoral neck off skydiving, snapped it off ball and socket, and I did another 40 or 50 jumps on it. I mean, I made it through the rest of training until we graduated, and then I went to the doctor and I was like, hey man, this thing is real bad. And 2 days later we did emergency surgery and pumped in 15 inches of titanium into it. It's like, I was not about to get rolled out of that class. Like, I don't care. And doctor's like, do you know how lucky you are to not get a total hip replacement, get medically retired? I was willing to do whatever it took to finish that course. I did not care. How many times I've been hurt overseas and blown this out or blown, I don't care. If I can actively get over there, and that's the ego. That's the selfishness. I think that's the clarity I have now. Like, with all the injuries, with shoulder and hip related, like, was I 100%? No, I wasn't. There's multiple times where it's probably dangerous. Like, I can't reach my shoulder over my head to throw a grenade. My shoulder will pop out of socket. Could you imagine? I reach back to throw a grenade and it falls at my feet. It's like, but you justify in your head because you don't want to say no. You don't want to tap out, and nobody does. It's like, well, if you leave, then who's going to fill your spot? There's not another one. You can't just go pull one from admin. There's not one down there. Like, now you have a commitment to the team you really just don't want to let go of. And for a lot of guys, like, there's something beautiful in that. Like, that guy is willing to do whatever it takes just because he wants to be here that bad. Like, there's something poetic about it. And then at the other side, when you hear people that they'll tap out or they'll get really hurt and they'll have to do an injury, they don't want to do it. They don't want to leave. It's like, now they're forced to. And you're like, oh. So a lot of guys, what I do is you just stop associating with them. It's almost like a cancer. It's like they have leprosy. It's like they got injured, they got to pull out, and it's like, whoa, no. They're going through a nasty divorce. Like, they would just kind of scoot over a little bit when that's not what you should be doing. You should be reaching out every single day, making sure they still feel connected, checking in with them, but you don't. You can't, because you don't want their reality to become your reality. You just avoid it. You avoid the contact.
Wow. That's bulletproof mindset, that is.
It's shitty though, but that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You talk to race car drivers, the exact same thing, man. Anybody.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing we were speaking about earlier. We were talking about like Kobe and Michael Jordan and some of like the best athletes to ever exist. And I don't know if are we talking about that's the way you viewed it personally, or is that the special forces guys that are trying to excel to that level at all times?
I think that's anybody who does something that they obsess about. or that they think that is the reason they were put on the earth. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You look at an MMA fighter, a boxer, a professional swimmer. Look at Michael Phelps. Like, how hard it is to be Michael Phelps. He talked about it. The mental health aspect and just how much you sacrifice to do that one thing. It's hard, but it takes sacrifice. It takes what it takes. And a lot of people, they can't thread that needle. They can't have a strong family life and a strong work life. I think as you're setting that foundation, it takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of personal sacrifice, and a lot of it is just time with you. Don't bring a wife into it. Don't bring kids into it. You need to sit there and build your foundation to withstand all the other stuff you're about to ask it to do. A lot of people rush into it, and then that's why our divorce rate was over 100%. Probably still is. Guys get divorced 2 and 3 times.
In the military?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, think about it. Like, do you want to be gone? You want your husband to be gone for 6 months at a time? Come home and gone 250 days out of a year? Not try to raise a kid like that. That sucks. It just does. Nobody wants that. But because they didn't grow up in it, they never got to see it. Like, oh, my husband's in the 82nd Airborne. Like, you're really going to hate life now. Deployments increase. Now they're 9, 10, 12-month deployments, 14-month rotations. Like, people aren't designed to withstand that. At the end of the day, people forget that guy over there who's getting divorced a million miles away in Helmand Province. That's a normal guy. That's a normal guy with 2 little kids who has no Wi-Fi, who has no way to call back. And he's basically getting updates from his mother that she's filed for divorce and she's already sold the house and he can't do anything about it. Like, he still has to fight these people every single day. Like, it's a lot for people to try to compartmentalize. I feel like a lot of people lose sight of that. Stress is stress, trauma is trauma. Everybody's going through something. Like, now you add them overseas, you add in distance. Like, it only gets worse. It only gets worse. And nobody talks about it. Because it's happening to you. I don't want it to happen to me. I don't want my wife over there talking to your wife. So that's what a lot of it is. We start to separate, and then people feel alienated. They feel like they're alone, and it just, now that, I'll say, male mental health really starts to dive down the drain. Because you had that tribe mentality, you had that pack mentality where, we draw strength in numbers, and now all of a sudden, where did everybody go? They've all left. It's like, oh God, now I am on an island alone. It's a very scary place to be. Especially when you've done nothing but team sports your whole life, or in that profession, everything is done in a team. Very rarely you ever alone. Now you are. Oof, talking about a culture shock.
And at your lowest moment as well, like when you're really struggling.
And you think people would reach out. You think that, and now I do. I didn't when I was in.
It makes sense though, like when it comes down to your survival, but at the same time, it's just so cutthroat. Like it's just, it's so sharp, yeah.
It is very cutthroat.
Just something to give a perspective of what deployment was like for you, being out there. And then you spoke about a really, really shocking story on the Sean Ryan podcast. You shared this story. Is there any other moments for yourself where you're out there that stood out, that sort of would capture it for an audience who have no experience of what war looks like?
I'll give you one with the human aspect. You would go out and we'd build a target package on, we'll say you. And we study you, sometimes for weeks, for months. Sometimes it's a thing we've been chasing you for years. And multiple guys try to get you. We just can never neck you down. So I've been staring at your face, we'll just say for 4 months. Nothing but your face. People in between, but you're the big fish we're all going after the entire time. You're up to all kinds of nefarious stuff. You're responsible for the death of 40 Marines, and you've done this, and you're this financier. Now you're a bomb maker. Make it up, whatever you're doing. And I'm staring at your face all day long. I've got a printout next to my computer. I'm writing emails, and I'm looking at you. I'm FaceTime my wife. I'm looking at you. I'm burning a hole through you. You're ingrained in my memory at this point. And then eventually we get a call. We found you. Now we're going to go find you, and we'll fly in on a helicopter wherever it is, and we'll do a long walk in, or we'll parachute in. We'll do whatever we have to. We'll surround the house and we'll do an assault. Really, really quiet, not a sound. You won't hear the gate open. You won't hear the door open. It's eerily quiet. And whatever happens on the inside, if you want to be a hero and you want to shoot it out, you shoot it out. And at the end of the day, you get killed. We've got to go through. We got to clear the rest of the target. The neighbors are coming out. They're shooting at you. Helicopters are flying by. Bombs are getting dropped. And in the course of that clearance, you run back and you see all his kids, his wife, his grandmother, all laying on top of him, just screaming. They don't know he's a terrorist. They don't know who that dude is. All I see is a 4-year-old with her arms wrapped around this dude's neck, screaming like you've never heard before. Like, what am I supposed to do for this thing right now? I think about it in reverse. If a SWAT team came in here and killed me in the middle of the night, what my 5-year-old would do. Like, what she would sound like. And it's hard to block that out. It's hard not to see the human aspect of it. Like, they don't know he's actually hunting us. They don't know what he's doing. That's Dad. That's whatever they call him. That's the dude bouncing around kicking soccer balls outside at 12:30 in the afternoon on Thursday. I just watched him do it. He's helping hang clothes on a clothesline. He's doing everything normal. It's just when they go to bed, now he's doing really bad stuff. They don't know that. And they don't know that after he's dead. All they know is that you with that flag on killed my father. That's all they know. And there is a burning hatred that you see. It's usually the boys. I've seen it a couple times, and you'll watch them shift from that to you, and the look in their eyes when it goes. You just created a monster. Like, there's nothing I can do. And when I was younger, man, I used to be a lot better at it because I looked young. I looked like a little kid, and they naturally gravitate to me. They just do. They see me on there. I mean, I've had multiple little kids come up, and I just pick them up. I'll walk them around the courtyard, just try to get them in a good spot, put them over with the wife and kids, but try to crack Kim lights, try to give them candy, try to do whatever. And I think about, in reality, what that must feel like. Like, now I've got this dude that looks like some alien, quad tube night vision, cut off this, big beard, long hair, and you just shot my father in the face. Now you're giving me a Kim light and a packet of Skittles? Yeah, thanks, dude. Like, God. And some of those things, like, those are the ones that really haunt me. Is I'll come back and I'll have a reaction, or I'll have a moment with one of my kids, and I'll remember back. Like, they'll scream, they'll make a noise, and I'll remember. Like, I wish I could speak Arabic. I wish I could just tell them, like, dude, I wish you weren't here to see that. I wish I could have just men in blacked you and just taken that memory away from you, but I can't. I got a job to do. Your dad had a job to do. At the end of the day, it's war, man. I did not kill your dad because I wanted to. Killed your dad because I had to. And it sucks, man, because a lot of that, it weighs on people, and they think about it in a real context with real emotion. And now once you have a family, you see it for the whole picture. Nothing else you could do. I'm not going to let him kill me. I'm not going to let him kill my friends. But I really wish there was a way to not expose him to that. And you've also seen it in the polar opposite. I've seen dudes bear hug their kids and put them as human shields so fast it'd make your head spin. They don't care. I've seen dudes push their wives in front of people. I've seen them shoot their wives. They don't care. Like, they'll put a suicide vest on a kid real quick, sit him right in the courtyard and clack him off. They don't care. Which is very different because they don't know that. They haven't seen that side of them yet. I have. Like, you don't know how far your dad would have gone. Give him 15 more minutes, you would have been outside with an AK. Like, I know the reality now, but it's hard not to shift it. It's hard not to go back and forth. But a lot of that, that's a lot of stuff the guys deal with.
That's tough. That is tough, yeah. I think, like you say, when you've got kids, I'm picturing my son in my head whilst you're saying that, and that's, yeah. Obviously, the reality doesn't line up, but yeah, it's very difficult, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a weird one, yeah. That's, and so you went down, you finished it, like, that's your third tour where you really started to obsess over the details, and you were, I don't want to mess this up, but a lot of head trauma was happening because of
the breaching,
yeah,
everything.
So that was mentally affecting you.
Yeah, now that I feel much better. Yeah. Now I can really feel the difference. You wake up with a hangover, you can't shake it out of you. It feels like 3/4 of your brain just isn't working. Like, I can't process as fast as I could, weeks ago, days ago, hours ago. I can't focus anymore like that. That ADD, focus I had before, I can't direct it anymore. Now it's just everywhere. Now I'm inputting different information. Like I'll go to a chow hall and people are eating, the cups are banging, knives on forks, just all the sounds, just auditory impulse. It's like, oh my God. Next thing you know, I'm having a fucking panic attack. Like, I don't know what a panic attack is, but I'm in the bathroom dry heaving. Like, I don't know what is happening to me. Crying in the bathroom, nothing's happening to me. Nobody said anything to me. I'm overcome with emotion for no reason. Oh my God, I'm going crazy. But I'm not saying anything and just try to solve it real quick. Try to walk back out like nothing's going on. Like, you good? 100%. And I'm just going to try to isolate until I can figure out whatever this is. Like, you just keep doing that over and over and over. Yeah, the head trauma was a multitude of things. We do a lot of breaching, a lot of explosive breaching. Also do a lot of jumping. Hard openings, some really hard openings, some whiplash stuff. And then getting blown up, grenades and being rolled around, just that post-concussive syndrome. I mean, you're constantly getting bashed up, and it takes a toll that you don't want to acknowledge. Like, nah, it's not a thing. No, I'm good. Well, eventually you're not good. And it wasn't until, we came back, I got hurt pretty bad. I ate a couple grenades and had amnesia. I was waking up in some weird spots, and I had a boss at the time. I was supposed to go on a heavy breaching trip, like blowing up walls and buildings, like really big shots. And I think it was the morning we were going to leave. And he's like, I don't think you should go. I went, no, I'm good. He's a very intimidating figure. He goes, let me rephrase it. You ain't f***ing going. Roger that. And I didn't go. And that was the best thing that's ever happened to me. If I would have gone on that trip, I'm not saying anything would have happened. I was in no condition to go on that trip. None. I wanted somebody to pull me. I didn't have the balls to pull myself. But I was in no position to go.
You started having symptoms from, these concussions and stuff. And then at the same time, you were put on a concoction of drugs. And it started to compound over time. Like, different drugs were being prescribed for different things, and they were messing with each other, and all this kind of stuff was happening, and the concussions and stuff on top of that.
So I had all those issues. I went to a TBI clinic, and you have depression, you have anxiety, you have this, you have ADHD. Let's get you on all these medications. So you've got injuries, you've got fibromyalgia, you have all of these things. Dude, I came out of it. I got them downstairs. I'll show you. Pills after pills after pills. And some of them, like, my anxiety was so bad, my depression was so bad, my pain was so bad. And we went through a laundry list of pills until we found one that worked. And the very first time they gave me the one that worked, it was like Jesus came down and touched me. Like, holy shit. Okay. I was never one of those guys like, I'll never take drugs. Like, give me drugs. If it gets me back to work, give them to me. I don't care. I had dudes shove a 14-inch needle through my throat and my brainstem 3 different times. These stellate ganglion blocks, I've done everything. I don't care what it is. If you think it'll work and get me to work, send it to me. I don't care. Whatever it'll take. Those things eventually come to where you're taking pills 3 times a day. Well, now I'm not drinking to excess, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm taking pills to keep me up. I'm taking pills to put me to sleep. I'm taking pills to take pain away. Oh, you've got nerve pain, take this, take this. I mean, it got to the point where I couldn't feel anything. I mean, I was getting hurt. But because my body, I couldn't connect my brain to my actual physical vessel, there's like a delay. So you seen like a trailer hitch on the back of a truck? You walk around and bang your shin on it, how bad that hurts? I could kick that thing as hard as I wanted to. You could see it. My leg would split open. There was a delay for minutes. Nothing. That was one of the reasons I got medically retired. It had killed my nervous system. So we were in there talking to the doc, and I grabbed this big metal thing, and I was like, tell me this is normal. And I smashed this thing on my shin 5 or 6 times really hard, and my foot didn't move. He's like, do you feel that? I was like, no. He's like, you don't feel it? I was like, I don't feel it, dude. They were doing these nerve tests, my foot's not firing. I was like, I don't feel it. So that's the issue, is I can't tell if I'm hurt or if I'm injured. My shit will just stop working, and my shoulder's dislocated. It came through my armpit. It's like, I don't know how bad it is. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like the drugs had put me in a spot where I couldn't tell up from down. I just knew that I have to keep taking them. So I just kept taking them. And then you'd build up a tolerance and dose would increase. I was never at a point where I'm like scratching the coating off these things. I just took them the way you told me to. And I never stopped. And I was on them for a long time. I mean, I think I got on those pills in 2013 and I didn't come off until 2019, 2020. And I did 6 more deployments in between that time. I mean, I just kept going. because that was my new baseline. But I mean, I had headaches so bad. I mean, I wore glasses indoor, outdoor. I mean, you go to my truck right now, there's 5 or 6 pair in there. I don't leave without them. And that was really from the photophobia from the TBI. I'm getting blown up. That's not what we called it. It's like, well, you got TBI because you have this. Like, take this pill, take this pill, take this pill for that. Well, when I take this one, this happens. We'll take that pill, it'll counteract that. Just, before you know it, I mean, I felt like a chemist. I'm just mixing concoctions. Like, I need something to go to sleep. We'll take these 3. You kind of just get used to it. And, you know, they say that some of the pills aren't habit forming, they're non-addictive. That's a lie. You get addicted to not being in pain. And then you'll take as many of those pills to achieve that status as humanly possible. And that's what happened. Yeah, so eventually the wheels kind of came off and I had to go to a rehab facility, 30 days inpatient. And it's the strangest thing, man, because if you ask Patsy or anybody who was up there, I was so clueless on what they were doing to me. The entire time, I never thought I had a problem. Never. I was in complete denial. The ego had a hold of me. And I thought they were going there because they couldn't keep me on those medications anymore. I know that for a fact. I mean, it popped an error code, and I guess 3 or 4 of the medications I were taking, you are not allowed to take together. He's like, if you take it, you'll stroke out, you'll die. Well, I've been taking those for 7 years. He's like, you got to come off them right now. So we went through an intensive med washout. We came out of everything. I mean, suicide watch. I mean, he took my shoelaces. I mean, it was a no shit inpatient. And I remember sitting there and telling the nurse, I'm like, I don't get what the big deal is. I don't know why we have to do this. Like, just stop, give me the meds. I'm fine. And I remember her looking at me, shaking her head, and she's like, oh, honey, you don't know what this is, do you? She's like, you'll see. 3 days later, I'm pissing in the bed. I'm throwing up all over the place. I mean, I am in full med detox. And the entire time, I'm telling myself, I'm telling nurses I have food poisoning. They're so sweet to me. They're just shaking their head, cleaning my face. They're like, I know, honey, it's fine. You'll get better. You'll get better. I was like that for 2 weeks, dude. No food poisoning. Just all the meds in my system, my body, just purging them all out. When I came out of that thing, I was like, oh God. Like, well, there's still 3 or 4 meds you have to stay on forever. And that's kind of what I went with when I came out of there. Just stayed on those meds, and it just compounded. Kept getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah.
Did the pain come back, you know, for those 3 weeks? What was that like?
Humbling. Because I was young. I mean, I joined at 17, and you know, by the time I got to that point, I'd already had, you know, a handful of surgeries, a couple of my stomach, 2 of my hips, my shoulders, collarbone, stuff like that. And by the time I woke up and I would walk, I would feel what my normal state was. And it was not good. Like, this is not where I want to be. And then I think about these guys, these retired, you know, athletes, and I see them walking around normal, living full lives. I can't do this. Like, I do not want to do this. And I didn't know what it was. Like, there's something happening with me physically. Like, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to play this game anymore. And I really started to get more and more depressed. And I think it was once you took away the medication, there was such a gap from my brain to my vessel, and there was no blocking in between, but I couldn't control them. It's like, I'm not synced up. What am I going to do? Like, I've got these negative thoughts in my head. My physical vessel is not going to propel me anywhere. I can't do anything. Like, I'm still broken. I'm weak. You know, I lost a shit ton of weight. I felt like death. I didn't want to do any of this, man. And then I met Vernon. And that whole kind of process started. Got back in the gym 5 days a week. Some intense rehab, a lot of physical therapy, a lot of mindset coaching. And then I started to pull out of it. It's like, the better I got physically, the better I got mentally. Okay, I don't have any drugs. I don't have any alcohol. There's no nicotine. There's nothing else right now. Let's see what I can do with just this. Just diet and exercise. Let's see what it'll do for my mental health. And outside of the things I could control, that was the biggest thing for me. If I can keep on top of my physical game, the mental stuff overlaps so nicely. The worst I've ever been depressed-wise is when I couldn't do anything physically. I get electrocuted and lay in my bed for months. I can't feed myself. I can't wash myself. I can't do anything. Just circling the drain. It's like, if I can get up and I can walk, now I have a purpose. Now I have a reason to wake up. Okay, well, I got to get up, got to do a walk. Got to get up, got to go to the gym. Got to get up, got to do this. Once I started to make that my habit, sort of form a routine, I was like, well, since we're on this journey, why don't I make a purpose-built routine? Let's do one just like how we did in the military, but instead of this, it's just me. I'm just optimizing myself now. Until I find an end state, I'll just work on me. That's what we did. I don't have a job, I don't have a career. I'll just focus on me right now. And it really pulled me out of the depths.
We've spoken about this all day today, and I have a large audience of people who come to me in their rock bottom moments, their really, really difficult moments, asking for the trick to fix it. What trick can I do to fix it? How can I change this tomorrow? I can't do another day like this. And I think you've hit the nail on the head that it's just 1% better every day, like a tiny little thing, one step, whatever it is. And I really do think, I have not heard somebody say that before. People talk about morning routines all the time, but in terms of the morning routine or routine being at the cornerstone of taking that extra one step every single day and trying to be better every single day, I've not heard that before. And that creating that structure in someone's life. And I think it's just perfect advice. For men especially struggling with mental health, just create a routine that you can stick to and start, building on it, make it better. And the exercise thing as well, just having something to improve yourself every single day, measurable, little by little. But it's hard to get that message to people.
It is, and a lot of people, they want a quick fix. They want to take a pill and make it happen. Mm-hmm. It's not going to. And a lot of people, they set these goals that are so unrealistic, you ain't going to make them. You don't have the discipline to pull it off. And I know it's nice to hope and want and wish, it ain't going to work. Why don't you set a goal you can actually maintain? Like, let's go to bed at the same time every day for 7 days. Let's wake up at the same time every day for 7 days. Just do that. Let's add a 20-minute walk in after dinner. Let's add in one before you go to work. Now let's see what's realistic. Now, inside of your life structure, can you add a morning routine that has fitness before you go to work? No, because of this, and this. I tell you to find a little gray area, find a little buffer. Maybe you go to bed earlier, maybe you wake up earlier. There's something you can do just for you that makes you exponentially better without a lot of effort. And a lot of it is micro wins. I'm trying to stack up as many micro wins as humanly possible. Did I wake up at the same time that I was supposed to? Yep. Did I get my fitness in? Yep. Did I get a cold plunge in? Yep. 20-minute walk? Yep. Protein shake? Yep. Diet in check? Yep. Did I make my first meeting? Yep. That's 6 things before 10 a.m. I've done that 7 days a week, every day for 5 years. Pretty good, man. That's pretty repeatable. Do I do a 20-minute walk after dinner every night? Mm-hmm. Yeah, every night. That's pretty repeatable. I can knock that out. Do I take a shower every night? Yeah. So why couldn't I do a walk? If I'm not going to do a walk, do I take me and my wife and go on the front porch for 10 minutes? 10 minutes, just you and me. Like, it's pissing down rain. The kids are going to watch the movie. Let's just get 10 minutes, you and me. Let's make it a routine every single night. 10 minutes, 5 for you, 5 for me. Data dump whatever's going on in your life. Send it to me. Right? Like, you can build a reasonable routine that only makes you, it builds a bond with your partner, whatever it's going to be. But people don't want to just line it out. They want to turn over, they want to listen to a Joe Rogan podcast or Andrew Huberman and go, oh yeah, it'll work for me too. They're so disciplined. And if you don't break that down in manageable chunks, you'll never do it. And now it'll be another loss column. Oh yeah, I tried keto, it didn't work. Oh, I tried this, it didn't work. I say it with diet all the time. Best diet in the world is the one you'll actually stick to. Doesn't matter what it is. That could be keto, that could be vegan, that could be whatever you want it to be. If you'll actually stick to it, that's the best diet for you. No different than that morning routine. Life has such a big physical component over it, and that's why I push it so much on military, police, firemen, just overall every day. Because to me, life is about processing information. Whether that be conflict, that could be navigating human terrain at the grocery store, it could be whatever it is. The better off I am physically gives me more options. I can process more information because there's no physical taxation to me processing that. Because if there is, I can already solve it. If there's a physical element in it, I don't even know what it is, I can pretty much get through it. Because I'm honest. There's not many things physically that I can't grind my way through. I got to jump on this, I got to push that, I got to pick this chick. I can do all that. If anybody else can do it, I can reasonably do it. And I think most people can, especially if you put forth just a little bit of effort, and the confidence that comes from that is really the key to mental health. It's stop feeling like a victim, and I say that to everybody else too. If you're going to talk about mental health from a fetal position, stop. Stop. If you're laying in your bed right now talking about how bad your life is, stop. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to hear you from there. If you're going to talk about mental health, get up and do it in the grocery store. Get them to go interact with people. Say it to them out in town. Get up and just move. Build a routine. Wake up, drive your car 15 minutes, go sit at Starbucks and drink a coffee inside the restaurant. Do that. Just watch people interact. It pulls people out of depression. They don't want to listen to it. Like, I want to be alone. I know you do. That's why you've had this depression for 20 years. Get out and move. Be around people and see everybody's doing the same thing you are. And not a lot of people just want to put in that work, or they don't want to hear the real truth. The real truth is that everybody's got some stuff going on, man. Everybody. Just be open and share it.
It's funny, people like complicated morning routines, and they like to look at this magical morning routine that's all the bells and whistles. And I think a large portion of that is because if it's unreachable, then they don't have to do it. You know, there's some of that in it. But then also is they do, like, they look at, like you say, like Huberman or Joe Rogan or somebody like that, and or yourself even, and they'll look at these routines and not realize that you built that step by step for a long time to eventually get there, and it fits your lifestyle. And it's not for everyone, but it doesn't mean that you can't have your own routine. I think what's lovely about your routine is part of it is a 20-minute walk. Most people can do that. But then, you know, some of the stuff in the gym that you're doing maybe is a little bit more difficult for some people. Maybe they need to build up to that. But yeah, I think people are looking for a magic answer, and they look towards people who have these amazing routines and think, oh, that's why they're so successful. Not because they built it up tiny little bit every single time and eventually arrived at this routine. And they're looking at the results rather than the thing that got them the results. I mean, we spoke about that today a few times.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. Like, I've been on the same morning routine since 2003, 4. Pretty much the same thing. I wake up at the same time, go to the gym the same time, pretty much eat the same meals. I've been drinking that same protein shake for 14 years. Like, it's my routine because I adopted it because it works. And I structure my day around it. So and that's what people talk about, is if my day were to shift, my routine were to shift. If I were to adopt graveyard shift, and now my mornings are really at night, my whole routine would shift to adopt that. When we go overseas, the same thing. Everything just shifts because it's not manageable. I'm not going to wake up at 4 a.m. if I'm not going to work until 2:30. That doesn't make any sense. I shift my entire day so I can get my full benefit. And a lot of that is because guys, especially, are sacrificial in nature. You're never going to take time for yourself. Never. You can't take a vacation. You can't go to a men's retreat. You can't do this. You can't do that because you got to provide. You got to raise kids. You got to be a good husband. You got to do this. You got to do all the other things. And before you know it, you've let yourself go. It's been 10 years. You can't draw me a diagram of the inside of your local gym. You don't golf anymore. You don't play pickup basketball with your buddies. You don't do anything. You don't have time. You don't make the time. Like, before you do that, you'll be on the wrong side of 50 and it's over for you. Like, I don't want that for anybody. You're just trying to optimize your morning routine to give you the most bandwidth so when you do get home, now I can be a full-time dad. I can be a full-time husband because I'm not trying to compartmentalize. I'm trying to juggle all these things at simultaneous times. If I have a purpose-built routine, then I can tailor it to what I need. I don't have time to do full fitness. What am I doing? 20-minute walk in the morning fasted. I'll wake up an extra 10 minutes early and I knock out a walk before I go to work. Easy. The average person can walk a mile in 20 minutes. I do it 3 times a day. 3 miles a day, 20 miles a week. Anybody can do that. Like, it doesn't have to be hard.
It's life-changing though. It really is. It's just having that structure.
I did a talk for some guys not too long ago, and I told them if I could give everyone in the room a singular gift, it'd be the power of that 20-minute walk, especially if you're married. Especially if you're married. Just walk. Like, literally, walk out of your driveway and walk 10 minutes in one direction, you and your wife, and turn around and come back. 10 minutes down, floor is hers. 10 minutes back, floor is yours. The best thing you've ever done, man. It'll help you digest your food, set circadian rhythm, you'll get better sleep, kickstart your metabolism, and it'll actually give you guys 10 minutes to speak instead of being on your phones. Just go. Tell your friends. Take a buddy. I mean, that's why I force the guys to do it. Do the 20-minute walk, man. It's only going to help you. I mean, if you sit outside of our shop, you'll see them. Everybody does them. They'll all go out on lunch breaks. All 15 people, big 20-minute walk. But it's good. It allows them to sync up. It gets them outside. And it really helps with mental health. A job's stressful, man. Work is stressful. If you don't take time for yourself, you'll never find it. Sometimes you just got to make it.
One last interruption, guys, into this episode. It is absolutely incredible conversation. And I spoke to DJ about the charity, and I would be missing an opportunity to talk about it a little bit more as well. So I have got my nasal strip on because I'm about to do 12 miles with 100 kilos on my back in a ruck right now. And I'm doing that for a charity, my son's charity, the Jacob Mulligan charity, where we help bereaved parents get headstones for their babies that they lost. And it's a really big, important cause to me. I'm raising money. I'm going to be going from Scotland to do the world's heaviest marathon. I'm going to run the final 450 miles with around 60 to 70 pounds on my back as well over 10 days. If that sounds like something you want to support, you can go to the GoFundMe down below and donate. Or you can also win the Brass Monkey Ice Bath that we're doing a giveaway on my website, mulliganbrothers.com, where you donate £5, you get one entry to get the ice bath, which is for UK customers only. But guys, thank you so much for the support and wish me luck. Let's dive back into this amazing episode with my now good friend, DJ Shipley.
Something I wanted to ask for the documentary, it was, I want to include in the documentary, like, I think the journey of the ego death and like, you know, you doing that. But to do that, I wanted to give the context of the ego. And I'm wondering if you could go back to when you were in, you know, really in the depth of that ego, if you could speak from it as if you know, you were in that place, like, how did you speak about yourself? Like, you know, what was your self-talk in that moment when you had that ego?
When I was still in?
Yeah, when you were still in, yeah. So not now, just for the cameras, just for awareness, like this isn't who DJ is today, but like back then, like how would you, you know, speak of yourself or, yeah, talk to who you were?
Typically humble around the guys, and when you come home, you're the real deal. Like, I'm the fucking reason we're all here. I am. That job, as much as you resent it, is the only reason you're sitting on that couch. Without them, there are no bills to pay. That creates stability for this whole family, and if I don't do it, what are we doing? I'm not going to Home Depot, I'm not getting any other job, and if you don't want to fucking be here, leave. You want to take the kids? Fucking go. Do it before I deploy. I don't care. And I'd say it just like that. If you don't like the way this fucking train is going, you can jump off anytime, honey. I'm not slowing down for you. And that was really the ego, is I had to build up these walls, and I had to build up that in my mind so I could be that Neil McCauley from Heat. I'll walk the fuck away from you right now, as much as I love you. And a lot of that is I'd never really show it. I'd show it in the honeymoon stage, and then I saw the reality, and I was like, I can't do that. Because there are times in that career path where you have to be ready to self-sacrifice. And it is a very hard thing to do when you were thinking about your wife and kids. So that is what the name of the game was. I am not thinking about you. And I tell them that now. There wasn't a singular time that I allowed them to go into my conscious thought riding on a helicopter on the way into the target. Never. I would not allow them. I didn't call them before I left. I usually didn't call them after I got home. They weren't on the forefront of my mind. And if we're being honest, if you looked in all my photos, you won't see pictures of them hanging up inside my room. I try to keep that out of sight, out of mind. I know that sounds fucked up for me because I do love them. And hindsight being 2020, I would have left for them. But at the moment, I wouldn't have. If you would have asked me now, if I was still in, she's like, I need for you to retire, I would have retired. Knowing what I know now. Back then, I would have told her to pack her shit. And that's really what it took. Like, for me to do that job at 100%, to be able to run in and sacrifice myself right now for you, I couldn't have anything tie me down. And unfortunately for me, the only way I knew how to do that was to set up walls. Set up walls and little pillars they just couldn't get through. And I'd come to the door spitting venom on my face just to keep them away from me. I'm leaving on a trip. Or I'd come home from a long trip, we'd get into a blowout. I'd come home pissed off about something. Like, why the fuck did I even come home for this? The fuck am I even doing here? Why are you still here? Why haven't you fucking left me yet? I'd say things like that. Because in the back of my mind, I thought if she left, it would give me full reign to do whatever I wanted to do. Internally, it's not what I wanted. I wanted her to accept me. I wanted her to understand what I'm going through, but I didn't have the ability to say it. I didn't have the ability to sit down and tell her, like, I'm scared shitless. I'm scared shitless. I'm going to lose my position in this community. I'm scared I'm going to die overseas and make you a fucking 2-time widow. There's a lot of pressure on me, man. Like, I don't know how to compartmentalize it. I don't know how to push through this. The only thing I know how to do is do this job. And right now you're drawing bandwidth that I can't reproduce any other place. I don't know what else you want me to do. It's not a fucking basketball game. I can't take an off season. Like, I'm doing this same thing as many times as humanly possible until I get killed or get kicked out of this place. What do you want me to do? And it was so easy to justify. Like, guys that get killed, playing for keeps, man. Playing for keeps. You sure you want me to take a 2-week fucking vacation for Christmas? I really don't want to take one. And that's a lot of what we did. We didn't take vacations. We didn't take summer vacations. We didn't take time off. I never made time to do it because I didn't think it was worth it, because it didn't have any benefit in me. At least I didn't see it at the time. It was so much easier just to, nope, we're good. I need to focus on this. And sometimes doing nothing is doing everything. Like, what do you want to do tonight? Nothing. I want to sit here and watch that TV, and I don't want you to talk to me. I'm just trying to reset my balance. And it's a hard thing for a wife to hear, man, because they do not want to hear it. They don't understand. As much as they say they do, they don't. And I think now that I'm out, that's a lot of the feedback I get. We get more calls from wives than anything else. Thank you so much for saying that, because now I understand my husband. Yeah. I'm not the greatest dude that's ever lived, clearly. But if you take me to the core and reproduce me like 10,000 times, I'm the majority of what your husband is. Yes, damn. Is he better than me? Is he more well? Sure. But at the core, the guy who's an idealist who really, really loves that job, whatever that job is, he's like me. He is setting up walls. He is trying to push you away because he's trying to focus on that right now, and he doesn't know because he doesn't have a dial. He's only got a switch. It's a hard thing, man, when you leave it. Now you sacrifice the family, you sacrifice relationship with the kids. And as we talked about today, like my whole focus now is I'm just trying to rewrite positives on top of negatives. Anytime I have a negative interaction, I try to overlay a positive on top of it. And I think the ego death gave me that. It gave me the ability to see for what it is in the time and place that it is and show remorse. Like, oh, fuck, man, I didn't mean to say that, dude. I did mean to say that. I didn't mean to say it like that. And here's why. And I'll retract it. I'll retract it really quick. But a lot of the times, I'd never do that before. I'd hammer down. Nope, that's it. And it's not a superpower to do that. It's not. To be able to show a little bit of empathy and show a little compassion to people, it goes a lot further. And we had this conversation when I was in with a guy about being able to crush people, crush your enemies, and, physically being able to control the situation. And one of the guys had one, he goes, it's one thing to be able to crush everybody. It's one thing to be able to control every situation physically. It's another to be able to control it and not let them know you can control it. I can sit back and I can let you do or say whatever you want to, and I'm not going to perceive it positively or negatively. I know that I can control the outcome of this whenever I want to. That's a superpower. I'm going to hide in the white noise and I'll just sit here, and then whenever I want to, I'll change it. I wish I would have had that optic back then. I wish I would have had the optic to sit back and go, I don't need to jump up. I don't need to shout. I don't need to flex. I don't need to do any of this. I don't need to do that at all. Got to have a dial, though. It's very hard to develop.
I mean, that is the really, really interesting thing, especially to me. Like, that's what I really want to hear about.
Do you have more questions on the ego?
Yeah, the death of the ego, I think, is the biggest one.
So because I compartmentalized my whole family the whole time I was in, I was never homesick. We do 6-month deployments, 4-month, 5-month, whatever it's going to be. I'd gone for 30 days, jump trips and everything else. Never homesick. Never think about it, really. And it's not a good thing or bad. It doesn't mean I didn't love my wife, love my kids. I did, obviously. But I didn't want them to interfere with my process and whatever I was going through. Like, I needed to be an individual right now. I can't be a family guy because my family ain't here. There's no reason for me to give you any bandwidth right now when I'm trying to jump out of this airplane. Like, I need to focus on this. And a lot of that came with living life like you were single and living alternate lives. And that's a lot of the egos. I can't be the person I want to be with you right now. So whenever I'm not with you, I'll be whoever I want to be. And I'd adopt these different lives. I'd go out to Arizona and I'd live the professional skydiver life and just had a whole different group of friends and demographics and different speech and different clothes I'd wear. And different. I would just be different whenever I wanted to be. And you finally get to a point where you start to lose who you really are. And then you all start to morph together. And before you know it, like, you're combining multiple worlds into one. And the only thing I do know is, if I don't like it, I'll slam the wall. If I don't like this, I'll hammer down, I'll just leave. Oh, you don't like it? I'll be gone for 10 days. See you when I get back. And I just bolt. When that's no longer an option, when that identity has kind of consumed you, you really lose sight of who you really were and why you really started. And now it wasn't so much about the end state anymore. It was about just feeding my own ego. Like, well, I have to pep talk myself. I have to tell myself I'm worthy of all this. I have to tell myself the sun rises and sets on me. And that the only thing that really matters is me and my career and all the things I want to do. In reality, it's not the case. But when you're in the moment, you don't realize what you're doing. You don't realize what you're saying or the ramifications, the impact they have on others. You just don't see it for what it is. And it wasn't until I went down to Mexico and did some serious therapy, taking some psychedelics, that I really realized what the ego death was. And I know because that was the first time I'd ever been homesick. When I woke up from Ibogaine that first day, I would have cut my arm off to be home. I've never wanted to teleport back home so bad in my whole life, ever. I've never wanted to be home that bad, even though my entire world back home was just in a death spiral. It didn't matter. I just wanted to go home and wrap my arms around my old lady and my kids and just tell them I'm sorry. And I knew I'd never have the opportunity. Like, that was really jamming me up. And then we did 5-MeO-DMT. That is the true ego death. So I think the way I went through it is that Ibogaine confirmed everything I'd ever done in my whole life to try to achieve this level. And that level was where my ego was setting. Everything I've ever done justified this person I've turned myself into, how I look physically, how I speak, how I dress, however, it's all purpose built. And I did all of that because I thought I needed to be that person. And then when you smoke that 5-MeO-DMT, things get very, very different because it shows you how small you are in reality. And you realize that you don't matter. You don't matter at all. My contribution to the war effort means nothing. My contribution to society means nothing because the majority of it was built on hate and discontent. And now the whole thing's just turned to negative. It's like I never wanted it to be. I only wanted to be positive. I'm happy by nature. Like, how did I end up like this? How did I end up like this? Just having like this self-reflection, like, and how the fuck did I end up like this, dude? And then you're sitting around this room with all these dudes who you've looked up to your whole life, and they're saying the same thing to you. I'm like, dude, I sit in that fucking guest room with that pistol between my legs trying to figure out how I'm going to shoot myself to not ruin the fucking ceiling for months, dude. Months. And none of you said anything to me? Never? Out of all the conversations we had, all the times we've been deployed, all the times we sit on 8-hour fucking road trips, just you and me, you've never said that to me? How? How the fuck were you going to let me lay back there and die? How? It's like, I was fucking pissed, dude. Like, if you knew how close I came to shoot myself back there, you would have fucking told me, man. Like, that's a realization. Like, if you don't ask and you don't tell anybody what you're going on, no one's going to know. If you do not give this thing a voice, you'll just end up like another statistic back there. Another bloody spot on the fucking ceiling. Somebody in here clean up the carpet, selling the house. Like, that's how you end up. That's how your story ends. If you don't say it, if you don't give it a voice, if you're not just open and honest. And that's what I did. I went down there. I smoked that shit and I fell back. I did it 5 or 6 times. I did it a bunch. And it wasn't until I felt myself die. And that was the realization I had, is I was so depressed. I smoked the initial bit and I felt that it was right on the cusp and I was still holding on to it. I didn't want to feel it go because it feels like you're dying. It's the strangest thing. And the last attempt I had, a doctor came over and he put his hand on me. He's like, you got to let it go, man. You got to let it go. And I gave myself a little pep talk and I went, why don't you just stop being a pussy and just kill yourself right now in front of all these fucking people? And I smoked that last one with the intent to kill myself. No, I lit that thing up and I inhaled that and I imagined that all the smoke was purple. And I was like, I'm going to paint the entire inside of every inch of my lungs with this purple poison. And I'm going to hold it as long as possible. And when I exhale it, I'm going to try to exhale my lungs out of my throat. I'm going to try to kill myself right now in front of these people. And in my mind, that would have been easier than going back home and facing music. And I sat there Indian style in that bed in Mexico and fuck it. Had the doctor there, had all the nurses, there's nobody else around, just me solo. And I smoked that thing as hard as I possibly could. And when I hit my head to that pillow, everything in my world shattered. It literally feels like you explode. And if you don't try to control it and you just throw your arms out and let it take you, it'll kill you. And it was the most liberating feeling of my entire life. I felt so insignificant on the planet that when I came back to it, everything was in alignment. Everything I'd ever done had been forgiven. Every past indiscretion, every ounce of guilt, judgment, resentment I've ever held for anybody was gone in an instant. And none of it mattered. None of it. And it was crystal clear in my mind. The only thing that did matter were the people that I wanted to associate with. The only thing I truly give a shit at all is my wife, my 2 kids. That's it. Nothing else matters. And now I have to go back and figure out how I'm going to solve this. It's like, I don't know if it can be solved. I think when I pull back this thread and she sees what I've really been doing, how bad I've really gotten, I don't think she'll take me back. And that was the scariest moment. It's like, now that I've hit this newfound me with this clarity and this sobriety and this different outlook on life, will it even be accepted? That's what was terrifying. All this work I've done, as far as I've come, as good as I feel, as sober as I am, it's all for nothing now. You're going to have to go and face the music now. And that was the hardest thing for me. But that ego death from where I thought I was to where I ended up, you'd have to do it to know. You would. But from who I was 24 hours prior to that guy, couldn't be farther apart. My wife will tell you, when I walked on the back of that truck, that's the very first thing she did. She pulled off my sunglasses and she pulled them off and started bawling. My eyes were jet black, dude. I mean, I had before and after pictures somewhere. I mean, they were black. And that's what everybody says. You lose all the color in your eyes. You lose all the consistency. You don't focus your eyes anymore. You just walk on with this blank stare. Like, you just don't care. You look like old timers at a nursing home, just going through life, going through the motions. When I came off that thing, she pulled my glasses off. Crystal clear. I could see everything and she knew it. She's like, oh my God. She threw her arms around my neck and we just cried for 2 hours on the back of that truck. And from that moment on, that has been the closest we've ever been, even since the honeymoon stage, even since dating. We've never been as tight as we are now because we've been through so much together. I think that's the strength we have now, is there's nothing else to go through. We've gone through everything. Everything that we could have gone through, we've already gone through and we've made it through. Like, now we're the best we've ever been. I'm so thankful for it now. But it was not easy. It was not fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you had this rebirth, and then even though you'd had this moment of pure clarity, you still had to go home and face the music. I mean, that must have been... So, I mean, the story of you sat on the back of the truck, we spoke about that earlier today as well. What do you think would happen if you didn't have Patsy there to come and, walk between your legs, as you said, and pull those glasses off?
The plan, if the truth be told, I don't know if I ever said this. I was going to wade out in the water and waist deep and shoot myself in the head. And a lot of that was I didn't have, even though I was in such a good spot because of the timing of the whole thing and her finding out about all my indiscretions at the exact same moment, I didn't think she'd see me. That I'd never see my kids again. And I'll be honest, it felt like I was going to be stuck in this prison of clarity and peace, and I wouldn't be able to share it with anybody. It's like, if she's not going to accept it, if she's not going to see it, what am I doing here? I don't want to continue this. Like, I feel great, but I don't want to live like this alone. I don't want to have a strained relationship with my daughters. I don't want to do that. So the only way I know how to fix it is I'll take myself out of the equation. And that was the hardest drive of my whole life, is trying to get myself in a position where I was going to make the decision. And I don't know how much time I would have given her. Not long, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and I just going to walk on the beach and get it done with. Like, just nothing else to do.
Where was that? In
right down the road. Yeah. About 15 minutes from here. Yeah, man. She called and I answered. I think about it, if she would have called and I just would have said, not answered it, then what? Then what would happen? Very lucky. Very lucky on the time and everything. I mean, I don't know how it worked out, but it did. Yeah, but I mean, that was the plan. I'm going to way down waist deep water and in this whole thing. Things had gotten so bad, man. I felt so guilty. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. They feel like they're in this corner. They can't get a way out of it. They don't see a way out of it, or they're on a different plane now than their spouse or whatever else, and they make permanent decisions without realizing the outcome. Like, what you're about to do is permanent, dude. There's no reset button. You're not coming back in another life. It's not. Like, it's over for you. And I feel like a lot more people, if they had the clarity or they had somebody just to shake them and tell them that right now. Like, not right now. Do it tomorrow. Do it tomorrow. Do it tomorrow. Do it tomorrow. Like Churchill. Going through hell, keep going. Steady pressure. There's no reason to make a decision right now when the worst it's ever been. Let's work on getting optimal, and then make a decision when you're in an optimal state. If you still want to kill yourself, we'll talk about it then. But don't do it at the bottom. Do it at the top. Right? Take steady pressure. And guys are good at masking it. They are good at hiding it. And a lot of the times you have to force them, or you have to give them the ability. And I see it in a lot of SWAT team guys now. A lot of guys struggle with mental health stuff. Like, sometimes you have to force the conversation. Sometimes you have to lie in order to get them to open up. And I'll do some back and forth with dudes. Like, how does that look like? How's that look like in conversation? How's that look like? How do I engage with a guy? How do I engage with my husband, my wife, that I've got some mental health shit going on? You just say it. Well, I don't know how to say it. I'll do one. Dude, I haven't slept in like 5 fucking days, dude. Me and my wife been fighting. After that fucking call last Tuesday, I can't shake that shit out of my head. And it haunts me every fucking minute of every day. I've been drinking every day. She's pissed at me. She's been sleeping at a friend's house. And the whole conversation just kicks over. They're just like, yeah, that thing fucked me up too, man. He's like, I can't get it out of my head. Like, keeps going over and over. Some of the stuff that the police and the firemen are exposed to in this country is so well hidden. I mean, dude, when you hear this, like, now that we work with a lot of police, when you hear the stuff they have to deal with, I just give them a fucking hug, dude. Like, I couldn't imagine that. Like, fishing babies out of bathtubs that mothers have drowned intentionally, and they have to go home in 15 minutes and bathe their own kids. I've never had to do that. And they're in the same boat we are. There's not a mental health advocate that actually wants to hear your issues. They're going to pull you offline. It's the same thing for them. They don't want to lose their job. They don't want to leave that team. But they're also human. They're also married with kids, and they have children. And it's a hard thing for them to weigh on, firemen especially, EMTs, they see some horrific things. And trauma's trauma. Doesn't matter what patch you have, what fancy school you went to, what selection course you graduated from, that shit does not matter. And that's really what I try to push out now. Like, people try to put you on a pedestal because you graduated some course or you served in some unit. But I'll tell you, every level, people are struggling. Every level. Childhood shit affects a dude in the special forces community the same way it does a school teacher. Same thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter you did 10 deployments or whatever. That shit does not matter. That thing that happened to you at 6 still haunts you. It's the same thing. If we don't get on that positive cycle list, it's only going to get worse. And a lot of guys, they suffer in silence. Suffer in silence and misery loves company. If we can figure out a way to bridge those two, and it starts with just you using your voice. Like, you have to say it.
My personal experience is when I lost Jacob, I did not feel anything. Like, I could not feel any emotions. And I was searching online for this, like putting all different terms and trying to write my situation out and Google it, and nothing came up. No men had shared their experience with it. And luckily I found this group where this guy shared a similar experience to me, and just him sharing it allowed me to feel something again. I understood I wasn't different and that somebody else was going through it and I wasn't the only guy. So 100%, sharing it. I think there's something in, even if you don't think it's going to help yourself, it could help somebody else. And I think that's powerful as well, knowing that, I'll be selfless and share it to try and help somebody else. If it helps somebody else, great. In the process, you'll probably help yourself as well. I think if you're okay to talk about it, the effect of the military, and I guess it goes for the fire department and the police department, quite a few other jobs as well, where you can't speak to your own mental health, because if you do that, you could lose the job that you absolutely love and you've worked so hard for. Could you talk through that? Is that something yeah?
In my experience, it's like that with every organization. They want to wave this mental health banner like, hey, we're here, reach out, suicide prevention hotlines. They don't mean that literally. Because if you do, they have to pull you offline. They have to seek treatment. You got to get outpatient, inpatient. They want to put you on meds. And now that because you're on these meds, you can't deploy. You can't parachute anymore. You can't scuba dive anymore. You can't do that job anymore. And that happens to one person. The other 5,000 people look at it and go, yo, no, we're good. We're all good here. But they're not. Same thing with the cops, same thing with the firemen. And that's why I tell these guys now, I'm not saying don't report it up, but I'm saying if you have not exhausted everything inside of this team to open up communication at 100%, who are you going to talk to? Like, the 6 guys that we deploy with, I know everything about you 6 guys. Like, I know what everybody looks like naked. I know what kind of shampoo you use. I know what deodorant you use. I know what you smell like after a 9-hour walk through Afghanistan. I know you by smell. I know whose hamstring I grab middle of the night under night vision. I mean, I know everything about you. But you won't share any of that with me. Why? Because no one will ever just initiate. No one will ever just say it. Like, I think we push on them now, like, just say it. If I can't be open and honest with you, then what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what's the whole purpose of going through the selection to be a part of this team if I can't just be open with you? And at the end of the day, it only makes the team better. You want to talk about nonverbal communication? Well, let's really communicate and let's really understand each other, and then we can shut the words off, and now I can just read you. It only translates to everything else even better. Like, now I really know you. If I said worked with you for 10 years, but I couldn't tell you where you're from, I'd ask that to anybody. Ask them what their middle name is. Like, oh, do you really know them? No. What's his birthday? What's his dad's name? You ever met his dad? No. You ever heard about his dad? No. You don't really know them. You're only focused on one aspect of this whole chain. Like, you got to look at the entire thing. How do I get him at his optimal state? By truly giving a shit. By giving him an opportunity, by giving him a voice at the table and letting him know, like, but this is a safe space right here. You got to say it. You got some stuff going on? We can help you. We can work you through this thing. We're all going through something together. Let's just get our cards on the table. What are we dealing with? I've been drinking 12 beers a night for the last 10 months. I'm like, damn. What's going on? He's like, I don't know, nothing. No, don't start with me, nothing. How did it start? Start to peel back the onion layer by layer and show them you actually give a shit. Then actually start to check in with them and build some confidence in the team. They can come to you. That's really what it is. A lot of these jobs, like, they're not able to put you on that mental health, guided treatment because of what happens after that. They put you on meds, you can't do your job. People don't want to do that. So you just suffer in silence. And they really go down the rabbit hole. Now they get removed, they get hurt, now they don't have anything. And then you just spiral so fast. Like, God, where'd that happen? It's been happening. We just didn't do anything. We never gave an opportunity or an avenue to try to get better. Somebody's got to give it a voice. Somebody's got to say it. That's why I went on Sean Ryan. Like, I came back from Mexico and that was my mission. Like, I'll tell everybody. I struggle with mental health all the time. I do that with these groups too. How many of you guys struggle with mental health? Nobody's hand goes up. I'm like, well, that's fine. Don't worry. I'm the only Navy SEAL that's ever struggled with depression. Yay. Put me on Google. I'll be on the Wikipedia page, the mental health guy. Yeah, that's me. Like, I know all you guys are. You don't have to bullshit me. That's fine. And we'll start to talk. I'll really start to get into it, and I'll start to watch these guys' eyes start watering up as they're processing what I'm saying. I'm like, I already know. You don't have to lie to me, dude. You can come to me later. We can talk about it. I give them all my cell phone number. Call me. Shoot me an email. You ever need to talk, we'll get through it. And you'll see a lot of guys will come over like, dude, thank you so much for that. He's like, so-and-so is really struggling. Like, oh, you're not? Okay, cool.
Did you get the calls?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. Calls, emails, FaceTimes, we get it all. And it all comes from a good place. Because they don't have a person to go to. They don't have anybody that will answer the phone call and listen to them with no bias. Like, I don't have any skin in this game. You're not paying me for this. I'm doing it because I don't want you to shoot yourself. I don't want you to do something that makes suicide the new acceptable answer. Like, I've been there, dude. And a lot of the times, the people that talk about mental health don't ever talk about their experience with mental health. They just tell you what you should do. Well, talk to me about you getting through your depression. Well, I've never had depression. So you're talking nonsense. Cool. It's like taking lifting advice from somebody who's never been in a gym. Taking a dietitian who's 400 pounds. Doesn't make any sense. So a lot of times they need someone to mimic. Like, nobody expects me to have mental health issues. I do. I get anxiety, I get depression, I get the whole thing. But everything I do, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, is constantly combating it. Why do I have anxiety? Being late. Why do I stick to a timeline? To control my timeline, so that I'm not late. Like how many times people get stressed out and their whole day just gets compounded with shit because they're 5 minutes late leaving their driveway. Majority of people. They get stuck behind a school bus. Now they're late for their presentation. They walk in 20 minutes late. Their kid's sick. They got to run out. It's all these little things. It's like if you set that positive routine, it builds in buffer to where you can control the variables. Well, now I'm not stressed out because I woke up on the right time. I got on the road at the exact same time. My car was already filled up with gas. My clothes were laid out the night before. Boom, 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 boom. I'm there with 15 minutes to spare. I'm going through my notes. Like, that's how you get past this. Successful wins over and over and over again. It doesn't have to be crazy complicated. It can be super easy. But as far as the mental health shit goes, that routine will save them. The 20-minute walk will save them. But at the end of the day, if you're not able to say it, it's going to be very, very hard for you. You're going to make, I'll steal this one from Vernon, you're going to make a hard conversation an impossible conversation. Just got to say it. And a lot of it is just that initial just, you know what? As soon as he walks the door, I'm going to say it. Just initiate it. And I tell the dudes that, like, just say it. And they're like, I don't know how. Hey, Brian, I've been thinking about shooting myself. Like, what the fuck? I know, dude. And I promise you, he's not going to run out of the room. He's not going to hang up the phone. He's not going to put it on social media. He's going to sit the fuck down, pop in his earphones, and listen to every word that leaves your mouth for the next 45 minutes until he solves this issue. And I bet you he's going to throw one back at you. Do me too. He will. Like, there's too many people struggling with too many things right now that people just are not offering him an avenue to talk about. Give them the opportunity people want to share.
100%. I think hearing that from you, I'm hoping, and I know it has already, you've said about, you know, the work you've already done, hoping it opens it up to some of our audience as well, that it's okay to talk about things. It's good to talk to people about things. I think once you've done that once, if you can just open the door to that, that's it. You can change your life and transform the way you process these things, because you realize, like you say, they didn't run away. They didn't laugh at you. They didn't ridicule you. They helped you, you know, and that's human nature. I think, especially with when it's a brother or a really close friend of yours, like, that's why they're your close friend. Of course they're there to help you. They love you. That's the whole point of it. You had this rebirth. You came back and you said you wanted to run to the closest rooftop and scream, you know, about all of this stuff and like try and share this message. How did you start doing that? Like, what was the process of you actually starting to get down there with people and helping them?
I started talking about it with everybody. Went on the Sean Ryan podcast, went on a couple of things, and just really giving mental health a physical vessel to point towards and give it a voice. Like, I struggle with mental health all the time, and you should see the looks like, but you're this. Like, don't they train you for that? Like, maybe I missed the PowerPoint presentation where they talk about how mental health doesn't affect us. I don't know. It most certainly affects me. I kind of just went through the whole thing, and then the importance of it. And a lot of the stuff is, you know, kind of reshape that whole narrative into being a professional, being a pro at everything you do. And part of that is communication. Part of that is acceptance. Part of that is picking somebody up when they've fallen down. Being that on every level. Am I a professional at everything I do? And am I trying to make myself 1% better in all these fields? Yeah. Is my mental health perfect? No. Do I still get depressed? Yeah. Do I still have anxiety? Yeah. Am I actively combating it? You fucking ain't right, I am, all day. Because I understand the importance of it now. If I don't have any bandwidth to give to other people, there's nothing else to give to them. But if I manage my stuff as much as I possibly can, I try to keep it isolated, constantly polishing it, constantly refining it, keep this shit in a box, then I can open up the other 75% of my bandwidth to everybody else. But if I don't, my stuff's all over the table. I can't help you out. I'm in complete disarray. I have to have some sort of organization, but not so structured that it becomes rigid. I've got to be able to adapt every day as things change. Something else gets implemented, restructure my day. But yeah, the Be a Bro thing has been one of the bigger things we've done. And I think the mental health aspect is huge in there. You know, we tell stories to kind of get guys motivated, and, you know, just how important it is to be a professional at whatever you're doing and inspiring the generation behind you to backfill you. It's kind of hard to do when you're just spitting hate and discontent all day long. And you see people who do that. Just imagine me, if I'd never gone down to Mexico, I got on social media, I had this fanfare, but all I did was talk negative all day long. Screw this, screw that, that's fucked up, and I just started that whole hate train. Everyone that would see me, everyone that would associate me, would see me as that disgruntled ex so-and-so who spits nothing but hate and negativity. It's not what I want to be. Am I trying to mass produce that version of myself? No, not a bit. That's another thing. Like, are you clonable? Would we be better off if we had 25 of you running around? I think so. If you're not, why not? Is there anything I could change about myself that would make me clonable? Well, yeah, I could polish this, I could polish that, I could make this a little more refined. Like, generally speaking, if we had 4 or 5 of you, we'd be better. Yeah. That's a good thing. A lot of people in this world we would not want to clone. Those are the people you avoid. Birds of a feather. Once you see them, once you understand you don't want more of those people running around, you have to disassociate. They're not going to make you better. They're not. The more you're around them, the more they're going to erode you. Next thing you know, you start to develop their speech patterns. Everything they do, everything they say, you start to agree with it. It starts to wear on you. It starts to break you down. I want people that are better than me, people that are uplifting, that people that when they walk into a room, I perk up. Oh, cool, he's here. All right. I want people like that, not when they walk in a room like, oh, it's going to be a long day. Okay. We all have those people in our lives. We see them working at the banks. We see them working at Starbucks. We see them. It's like, man, I hate that you feel like that. Life can't be awesome if you let it. You're jaded right now, and I can't do anything to save you. Can't save everybody, though.
The concept that you spoke about today quite a few times was when you were beginning in all of this, and most successful or obsessively successful people who are trying to be great have switches. And that's it. They're wearing I'm Kobe Bryant. That's it. Everything is obsession with basketball, and there's nothing else. No family. I'm not a husband, a father, a friend. I'm just the best basketball player on planet Earth. And you had this exact same thing, this switch that you would flick on, and it usually remained on even throughout your personal life and everything. And that now you see that completely differently, and you have a different concept now.
Yeah, dials and switches. When you're 19 years old, fresh out of high school, joining a new whatever, it's really easy just to go, I'll be a Navy SEAL. It's the only thing that matters. Nothing else matters. How good I can shoot, move, communicate, parachute, dive, whatever it is. It's a lot of things you really got to be good at. And it's a lot easier if I don't have any distractions. So let me just focus on this one thing. And where a lot of guys make the mistake is they try to introduce a family into that foundational phase. Well, instead of just focusing my first 4, 5, 6, 10 years on developing my kata, my style, my foundation, I'm going to try to manage a bunch of things at one time. I'll try to get a girlfriend. I'll get a puppy. I'll buy a house. I'll do this. I'll take it windsurfing. No. Nope. That's why, piss a lot of people off. That's why I like the East Coast more than the West Coast. There's not any, you've been here. There's nothing to do here. The only thing there is to do is focus on work. You got the sunny California, beautiful beaches, surf, beautiful women. There's plenty of places to go. You can rock climb. You can be in Red Rocks. You can go out to wherever. You can do whatever you want to in California. Lots of distractions. Not a lot of distractions here. There's nothing to do. You can't be more than an hour away. You're not going rock climbing here. You can go to the rock gym. You go to the indoor rock gym. You go to the actual gym. You can go to the shooting range. You can go swim. I guess you can surf on these waves, but there's not a lot of things to do, so you can just focus on that one thing. And as you set that foundation, I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary to limit your options and narrow your focus. I don't want any external factors pulling bandwidth for me. I just want to focus on this one thing right now. That's the only thing I truly care about because it matters. So I'm going to hammer down on this one thing right now. And when I'm older, and hindsight being 20/20, if someone could have given me a gift at 17, it would have been the concept, maybe not the application, but the concept of a dial and not just a switch. Later on in your life, I'm going to reintroduce this to you and you'll remember back. You won't know how to apply it, but I'll show you then. Just the concept would have helped me. This is not what you're going to do for 20 years. It's not. And if you are, you're going to do this whole thing alone. And that's a very common thing to see guys 17, 18 years in their career single. Like just a long-term girlfriend, they've been dating for 10 years, not engaged, not married, no kids. Then they retire and they try to do everything real fast. That's pretty common. Hindsight being 2020, if we could just develop this into, the switch is great for establishing the baseline, but if I want to introduce a wife into the situation and then kids in the situation, a dial serves me much better. A panel of dials offer me even more. And if we just say that being a pro is doing everything you do at a super high level, then I would say that being a husband deserves a professional approach. So what would a pro do? If your only job was to be a husband, what would you do? I'd do it 100%. I'd wake up and I'd cater to her every single need. I'd provide funding, protection, livelihood, home, electricity. I provide all the things I'd have to. Security blanket, that's my job. And I'd crank that thing all the way over to a 10, and I'd live there. And then when it's time for me to go golfing, I'd power down my husband and I'd power up the golf. Now when we have kids, it's the exact same thing. Now there's just 2 dials. Now I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, I'm a whatever. That takes full bandwidth. But if I go from Navy SEAL, entrepreneur, whatever, and I take that straight home, they don't need that. That's not what she needs here. She's gonna be barking orders at her. My kids don't need that. So what do? I've got to be able to dial it up and dial it down. But in reality, that's a very hard thing to do in close proximity. So the people that work from home, that's a hard one. So what I tell guys, I use my transition times. So you've been to the work, you've seen the drive here. It takes me exactly 10 minutes to do it. It's basically 2 songs by Chris Stapleton. I jump in that car, I power everything down, I check my social media one time. I usually roll that at 5 o'clock. I'll check everything on social media so I won't have to do it at home. Doesn't always happen. And then as soon as I get in that car, when I put it in drive, I change the radio station. I put on something super easy, something nice and calm, and I shut everything else out. And I play in role reversal of what's going to happen when I hit that garage door. Who's going to be the first auto that's going to run down? Who's going to grab me? What are they going to say? What are they wearing? And I start to try to predict the future. Where are they at? Where's Patsy with homework? Like how far they've gotten along? What am I making for dinner? And just all the interactions I'm about to have, these little micro wins that I could potentially have and all these potential micro fails. If I walk in this house with CEO hat on or whatever hat on, I'm going to fail over and over and over again. And the 25 things I did right from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m., I can undo right now. It's not what a pro would do. If my only job was to be a husband and a father right now, what would you do? I'd dial all those things down. I'd grab both those dials and I'd go, I'd hover right at a 7 or an 8. Come to the door, hugs and kisses. Hey, great to see everybody. I want to do a tea party. Whap, crank it over to a 10. We're painting fingernails. We got pig ties. We got the whole thing. Brontosaurus crawling around on all fours. That's a 10. She needs me to come down from homework and we need to have an adult conversation. I'll dial down dad to a 3. I'll take husband from a 7 and roll it to a 10. Undivided attention. Send it. What do you got? Now I'm playing therapist back and forth. Like, okay, we've eaten dinner now. I'm still at a 7 or an 8, still at a 3 or a 4. Let's go on a 20-minute walk, you and me. Cool. I power everything down. I'm going to be selfish for these next 10 minutes. We won't say anything usually. The first lap, we won't say anything. We just walk. We just sink in energy. I'm just trying to flush out whatever I'm working through right now. Now it's your turn. Crank it back up to a 10. Give it to me. Whatever she's got going on, whatever she's processing, whatever trauma, now it's your undivided attention. I'm not texting on my phone. I'm not trying to multitask. I hate multitasking. You can't do anything at 100%. You can't. Like, let me just shut this thing down. Let me just solve this issue. Tell it to me. Cool, we come back in here. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about social media. I'm not thinking about trips and ammo and shooting or training. I'm not thinking about any of that because now I have the concept of the dial. And I can power down the GBRS dial all the way to 0. As soon as I wake up 5:30 in the morning, wham, sit it right at a 4. Brush my teeth with purpose, my whole morning routine. I get in the truck, the music's a little different. Now it's Ludovico because I'm going in for a cold plunge. I'm trying to get my mind right. I'm trying to scrub out all the hate and toxicity, whatever I have going on inside me. My whole morning is purpose built. They don't know I'm here. They don't even know I'm gone. So my husband, my father dial is cranked to 0. I'm not thinking about them at all. And I know that sounds fucked up, but it's not. It's because the next 45 minutes are just for me. I've given you everything else. My morning routine is not about them. It's not about Instagram. It's not about subscriptions. That morning routine is just for me. That fitness is not for you. It's not for them. It's for me. And I do it because it puts me on a better trajectory in my life. That's why I do it, not for anybody else. So once I go in there, I crank it all the way up. When I'm setting up for a deadlift or a big lift, whatever it's going to be, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about the meeting I have at 10. I'm not thinking about the range block we have that afternoon. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch. Nothing. I'm focused on that one particular thing, and I have a good lift or I have a bad lift. When I'm done, I reset and do the same thing again. 20-minute walk. Hover back. We had to go into a meeting. I've been hovering at a 4 or 5 this whole time, just allowing my whole self to process. Now I've got to go into a meeting. Wow. Crank it over to 10. Give you my undivided attention. As soon as I walk in a meeting, back to a 4. 20-minute walk. Okay, 20-minute walk, 20-minute walk. Anything happens in between, I'll dial it down. Like, I'm not on my email. I'm not on my cell phone. I'm not trying to two-hand type. I'm not trying to listen to your phone call and give you my undivided attention. Like 60-40, 50-50, I'm not doing that. I shut off my email, I swivel around my chair, and I look at you. Send it. There's nothing else that should matter more right now. Like, I hate this multitasking concept. Oh, I can have 4 browsers open. I can have a conversation with you and I'm on a Zoom call. No, you can't. No, you can't. And if you just stop lying to yourself and use some dials and really take some practice and use those buffers in between those transitional moments to set the stage, give yourself every opportunity, exhaust every resource. Have I really dialed it all the way down? Well, no, not really, because I left work. I was hateful. I listened to hateful ass music the entire way on a 3-way call, just screaming at these 2 dudes. I pulled my driveway and I walked right in on speakerphone. You didn't power down shit. You didn't power down a single thing. I mean, that's the old lady. I sit in that driveway, I'll put that thing in park and the garage door will open. The kid's coming out, I'll reshut it. Give me 5 minutes. They'll see in the window, like, come in. 5 minutes. I'll sit there. I'll listen to Ludovico and I'll zen out. I'm like, do not show them how stressed you are right now. Do not show them. They do not understand. They don't know what work stress is. They don't know what I'm dealing with. And at a certain point, she doesn't either. She doesn't need that. She doesn't need me coming in talking about whatever issues we're dealing with. None of it matters. What she needs is 100% focus on her and these kids right now. The only way that I figured out how to do it is to really take a conscious effort on dials and switches. Everything I do is purpose built. Everything I do in my morning routine is so I can control my optimal end state and so I can have bandwidth for other people. And once I do that, I swear to God, it's like a superpower. Like, I can really dial this thing up and I can really dial it back and I can do nothing and I can just recharge my batteries. And a lot of this, that's the company you keep. People are chargers, people are drainers. You met Vernon today. Vernon's a charger. He walks in, you automatically feel better. I can plug into him and I leave every conversation. I feel better. Some people walk into a room and it's like, God, when's this dude going to leave? You almost have to do a 1-for-1 trade-off. But now you know that, now you recognize it. That's just a heightened state of awareness. That's not some secret Navy SEAL shit. That's just normal people reading off the room. It's like when you know that Pam is terrible and every time she walks around you feel worse, avoid her. Just avoid her. And it's not hiding your head in the sand, it's purpose built. Like, I'm avoiding conflict because I know it doesn't serve me later. If I can't control that outcome and I don't have to associate with her, I'm not going to. But I have to have the bandwidth.
When would you recommend switching for yourself? You know, if you could, with hindsight, with that 20/20 vision, at what point did you need to go to dials?
I think introduce the concept of dials and switches as early as possible. If you think they can retain the information, they can understand the concept, I would say I do not recommend anybody who is setting their foundation and trying to achieve a high level to try to focus on dials and switches. I wouldn't. I gave that to the guys at FSU about dials and switches, about in and out of class, but I did with the context of you're representing the team in everywhere you go. Your performance in class is a direct representative of this team, right? Like, it all matters. And if you don't do those dials and switches, if you're only thinking about football every day, you can't focus on class. You have to be able to focus on class. So in that concept, it is dials and switches. But those are the only 2 dials you should have. It shouldn't be your toxic girlfriend or this drama you have here, this social media bullshit. You need to take the 2 things that only matter and focus on those dials. But for the majority of people, while you're single, while you don't have any distractions, really focus. Focus on setting your baseline, focus on the obsession, and you'll know when the time is right. When you introduce a girlfriend, a fiance, a wife, and she starts drawing bandwidth from you, and it starts to become a friction point where, we'll say, before it gets to the point where I need for you to quit this for me, you need to really sit down and think about dials and switches. Like, okay, I've established my baseline. I'm one of the best dudes in the world. Like, I'm hitting my mark every single time. But I'm not playing basketball 24 hours out of the day. I really just need to focus on this game during training, during my individual training, and during my mindset development at night. But the other 14 hours out of the day, I can shut it all off and really preserve some of that bandwidth and give it to you. Because if not, you just run the red the entire time, and it's so hard to stay hyper vigilant. And that's not tactically, that's just a thing. Kobe Bryant, hyper vigilant. Michael Jordan, hyper vigilant. People that do anything at a super high level, you're living inside there. You look at neurosurgeons, like they're living that world all day long, and it's very hard to power down. It's very hard to unflick that switch because it took you so long to get there. It's like you don't know how to shut it off. You've never done it before. Well, we have to put in a couple little baselines and benchmarks in our day that allow us the opportunity to even think about dialing it down. Like, okay, I'm on a beach, it's vacation, we're in the Bahamas, there's nothing going to happen to me right now. What would happen if I left my phone in the hotel room and I didn't have it for the next 8 hours? Can I set everything on my phone? Can I make sure all my social media is tight and I can just shelf it? And I'll just be a dad with you idiots for the next 8 hours, and I'll just immerse myself and have fun. It's a very hard thing to do if you never practice it, because you're sitting there the entire time, you're just on your phone, it vibrates, and you feel like you have to answer, you have to repeat over and over and over. You don't. Power it off. But if you don't have it purpose built, like by design, it's a very hard thing to get away from. It's like why you have the opportunity, why you have the clarity to do so, start to introduce those concepts. Like, how can I dial this down? How can I dial this up? And doing it at the same time is a very hard thing to do. That's why I use the drive home. That's 10 minutes of nothing to do. I don't usually take phone calls back home. People call me when I leave the office. You got 10 minutes to talk? Actually, I just walked into a meeting. I didn't walk into a meeting. I need these 10 minutes because I'm about to go home and deal with like life, man. Like I'm trying to give them 100% of me, and it's hard to do if I'm on the phone with you up until I walk the driveway. And people don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. So if I've blown people off, that's what it is. Like I'm trying to make time for the people that I sacrificed during my whole career because they deserve it. It's really what it is.
We mentioned briefly the 1% better every day. I don't think, again, it's not a, people want to take medicine that fixes them in the next day. What they don't want to do is take a bitter pill every single day. And 1% better, it requires that. Like it's hard work, but it's a little thing, but it adds up over time.
It does. And a lot of that, it's the consistency. Like, am I better than I was the day before? Yeah, because naturally I have more experience. I have more experience today than I did yesterday. Have I been living in this vessel for one day longer? Yeah, I naturally have more experience. So it could be as simple as, did I work out today? Yep. Did I do one extra rep? Mm-hmm. Did I do more weight than I did last week? Yeah, 3 pounds. Not a big jump, just enough. Just enough to keep myself on track. Am I still pushing forward? Am I still applying steady pressure every single day? Yeah, I haven't let myself go. You haven't missed a workout? Nope. You haven't missed a 20-minute walk? Nope. Why? Because I said I wouldn't. It doesn't have to be this. I don't have to climb Mount Everest. I just need to wake up every single day with a reason to swing my feet out of bed and pop up quick. Like I have to have a reason. Why? Because I want to be better than I was yesterday. Because the people that I support deserve it. Like I'm not perfect. I'm an imperfect creature. Ask anybody, they'll tell you. The only difference between me and you is I'm actively trying to get better. A lot of people just want to sit there like, it's good enough. I said the same thing, dude, until you realize good enough isn't good enough. You can always be better. There's a lot of room on the table, man. Like I can really be better. I can be better at a lot of things that I never even cared about before. Like, let's hammer down. Let's set the example. It goes back to the be a pro thing. Like that 1% better. That's how the professionals do it. How you want to get better at anything. Do it 10 minutes every day, 365 days a year. At the end of that year, you'll be better than 80% of the population that does that one thing. Doesn't matter what it is. Like that's the truth. It does not take an exuberant amount of time or attention. It just takes steady pressure. And a lot of times, instead of doing it, you just want to scroll through IG for an extra 10 minutes. Well, you don't have to. You could learn a new skill. You could polish on an existing skill. You could have a better conversation with your kids, your wife, grandmother, your mother, whatever. A lot of people just don't want to do it. It sounds too hard. It's like, I don't have the time for that. You don't have the time for that? You're not making the time for that. Same people that, you know, they want to lose weight, but they don't want to diet. They'll go through 40 years of being overweight, and then all of a sudden you see them, and you're like, what happened to you? And you're like, yeah, I finally did this diet, and I finally just stuck with it. And he's like, come to think of it, I never really tried before. I kind of just stopped eating the lean cuisines, and I gained 40 pounds back. Now what? I don't change my diet. I stick to it, and I bring my food with me. I drink my water, I blah, blah, blah. So you just adopted the fact this is what it's going to take. Yeah, it takes what it takes. You just didn't think you'd be able to do it, so you just stopped trying. If you make it digestible and not easy but maintainable, people will get on board with it. And a lot of times they need to see someone show them like it doesn't have to be rocket science. It does not have to be so complicated that you couldn't figure this out. Tell everybody, do a 20-minute walk every night after dinner. Do it for a week. Do it for 2 weeks, then do it for a month. If you're not losing weight, if you're not doing this, your diet is really, really terrible, introduce another walk. I know you feel better off the walk. I know you do. I've never had anybody like, man, I did those 20-minute walks for a week. I really feel like shit. Like, no, you don't. Never had anybody say that. I've had thousands of people call me like, changed my life. Me too. That's why I keep saying it. Like, I don't get paid every time somebody does a 20-minute walk. I only do it because I know how much it's helped me. Like, without those 20-minute walks, man, I'm not kidding you. I would be screwed right now. And I just don't want to see people suffer. I've been there. I've been the only guy on my island alone. I've been there. And I hate when it happens to people, because it doesn't have to be. Like, we can get through this thing together, but not if you're not willing to help yourself. If you're going to lay down in the fetal position and cry to me about how hard your life is, it's not going to work. You got to be open, honest, and we have to be willing to put in some work. I'm not going to make it impossible, but got to make it work.
Flip into the other end of the spectrum, the being elite. What did it take for you to be the best?
For me, it was identifying a role model, someone I thought was the best, and then changing that role model every time I thought I was catching them. So you set forth this mentor, whatever he's going to be. For me, it was my father originally. And then I didn't have a mentor I really wanted to be like until probably my third deployment. And I got a guy named Barrett that came in, and larger than life to me. I worshiped this dude. He was everything I ever wanted to be, and everything that came out of his mouth was like the gospel. Everything he said, everything he did, the clothes he wore, just everything about him was all I ever wanted to be like. And then I move on to a different team, and there's another figurehead equal to that. I'll just chase this dude. Start climbing up the ladder, and there's another guy. It's like chasing that guy, chasing that guy, chasing this guy. And it's really just surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like, that are positive role models, that help you up the ladder. Very few times have I ever seen people at a high level who stand on top of the ladder with their foot and won't let you come up another rung. I've only seen mentors in my life that are always doing this. They're always trying to pull you up, and the really good ones want you to be better than they were. It's like, all I've got to do is really show up and just put out. Just try as hard as I can. At the end of the day, if you've exhausted all the resources, and I can look at myself in the mirror and go, it's not for lack of effort. I tried. You are going to mess up. You are going to fail. You're going to make stupid errors. Everybody does. Well, how do you come back from it? Just try not to make the same ones again. And unfortunately, guys do make the same ones. I've definitely made the same mistakes over and over and over. And now I'm sitting back here as the whole picture unfolds going, that's part of my story. I'm not designed to be perfect. I never was. I'm kind of flawed from the very beginning. But that's some of the beautiful parts of my story, is I have learned. And now that I am here, instead of jumping on a pedestal, like, look how great I am, like, look how flawed I am. Look at all the things I accomplished. What I see is huge flaws. All of you guys play me on a video game and tell me how great I am. Like, I don't say that. Nobody else we've worked with ever said that. Nothing was ever good enough. We're always trying to be better. We're always trying to look for the flaws and try to make course corrections. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it, is most of the people that are at a super high level don't realize they're at a high level until it's over. The entire time. And that's the thing I love the most about that particular organization in the teams, is they get you to sacrifice. They get you to drop everything else like it doesn't matter, because you love that organization so much. You will spend the entire time of your career chasing something that never exists. And about the halfway mark, around the 10-year mark, you realize the perfection you're chasing, you're never going to find. You spend the next 10 years accepting it. I don't care. I'm never going to be perfect. I'm never going to be, there's no number one seed at this team. There's no starting quarterback role in this team. There just isn't. We're all equal here. And all I really want to do is play the game again. I just want to play the game again tomorrow. Play the game again tomorrow. And that's the thing that's beautiful about it, is once you realize you're never going to catch it, the thing you're chasing, you're never going to hold in your hand, and you fucking do it anyway. That's the beautiful thing about it. Sacrifice it all for one more chance to play the game, knowing I can never take it with me. I think that's what they do better than most organizations, is they tell you that. Like, you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to achieve it, and you ain't never going to take it with you. Still do it anyway. That's a power that it's hard to, it's like loyalty. It's hard to define, but easy to recognize. Like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, those dudes would do anything to be a part of that. No different than a professional athlete. How far are you willing to go? The whole way. I go the whole way right now. That's why I miss it. It's probably the best time of my life.
Another question I ask most guests is, what's been the hardest moment on the journey?
For me, the hardest moment was coming out on social media. Never part of the plan. Never wanted to do it. When we first started, I had my face blurred, and I don't know what the end goal was going to be, but it was never supposed to be social media. Like, I was never supposed to sit down in front of cameras and talk. I was never going to do that. And it wasn't until I realized the little bit of showing that I had, even with the blurred face. I had so many people reach out because I talked a little about mental health and some of my struggles and coming back from injury. And I had a bunch of guys reach out, and they're like, I really want to see what the you look like. Like, I really want to see what your eyes are telling me, and I can't see it through that pixelated face. So we went on Sean. That was the number one thing. People expect you to look a certain way, talk a certain way, but they don't expect you to be vulnerable for whatever reason. They don't expect that you're going to say that. They don't expect that out of all the mystique and the glamour and all the bullshit they paint on you, that you're actually just a normal dude. Put my pants on just like you did. I fucked this whole thing up just like you have. I'm still back here just trying to make it better. Am I perfect? No, man. Not even close. Still back here applying steady pressure every single day. Still doing my morning routine. I can always be better. Always. I think that's the difference. I just accept it. I am flawed. I have messed this whole thing up, and I will give it a voice because you won't. All the people you're hanging around with their hands in their pockets aren't saying shit. I'll say it. Because people need to. Because I've been the only guy on the island. I've been the only person suffering through it with no one else to turn to. I don't want anybody else to feel like that. So if putting my story out on the internet connects a couple million people to realize, like, damn, that dude's struggling with mental health? That guy's got anxiety, depression? That dude's thinking about suicide? Man, I'd kill to have that guy's life. Yeah, from the outside, you wouldn't. It's not always, the grass ain't always greener, man. We're always going through it, and that was definitely the hardest part. I did not want to put my face on the internet. I didn't. I don't like the cameras. I don't like the spotlight. I don't like that. But I've helped so many people at this point. And I'd be foolish to say it doesn't make me feel good now. It does. When people call and they email and I see them in the airport and they stop me, and that's probably the thing that means the most is I've had a ton of people that have come up to me with their families here when their wives there, and they'll come up and be like, hey man, I watch your podcast. I really appreciate it. And like, yeah, thanks, blah, blah, blah. We'll take a selfie. They'll walk away and their wives will turn around and run back. I'm like, you saved his fucking life. Like, and I know it's the truth. She got tears rolling down her eyes. I start crying. I'm like, I know. And she's like, you have no idea how bad he was. I'm like, yeah, I do. I know how bad it would get. I've heard it all. I've seen it all. I've FaceTimed dudes. I know. And it's one of those things to think that I almost didn't do it, and all the people that I could have helped that I wouldn't have helped. Like, I couldn't imagine it now. Like, I think that's the thing we push out now is give it a voice. At the end of the day, be a pro. And If you be a pro in everything you do, it gives you the accountability, it gives you the ownership, and it gives you an opportunity to be the person that people are trying to emulate, people are trying to be like. And that's really what we're trying to push. Like, are we trying to mass produce you? Are we trying to put you in a position where people want to emulate your actions and be a better version of you? My God, I hope so, man. I hope that's what I'm doing. That's most certainly what I'm trying. And I tell this story. You want to get into it?
Yeah.
I tell this story about a fireman. And I told it a couple times, and I give him a name, little Timmy Thompson. And it's got a lot of American culture in it, so hopefully you'll get it. But I tell a story about little Timmy Thompson sitting in the back of his mom's baby blue Ford Taurus station wagon. He's in a reverse seat, and he's probably 5, 6 years old. They're at a 4-way intersection. They come to a stop, and he hears this thing coming up behind him. It's screaming like he's never heard anything like it. And you can imagine him. Mom staring forward, looking in the rear view mirror, and little Timmy's just back there. He's just shaking. He can't get his head turned around. He can't see what the fuck it is. And it's getting closer and closer, and it's wailing. It's blistering out. It's 104 degrees. The windows are cracked. It's stifling in this car, and he can hear this thing. It's echoing. It's like a fucking echo chamber. Wow, wow, wow. It pulls up next to him, and he sees a big flash of red. Pulls right up in front of him and screeches to a stop at 45 degree. Comes up on the median, and there's a 3-alarm house fire right there. And this kid sees it from 30 feet. He's like looking over in the passenger seat, and this big ass dude jumps out of the front of it. Huge handlebar mustache, short sleeve shirt, looks like an NFL linebacker. Drops his hat, grabs an axe, and throws it over his shoulder and looks back at that kid and gives him a wink. It runs inside that house fire. Everybody else throwing all this shit, they all run inside. From that moment on, every single Christmas, every single birthday, little Timmy Thompson has wanted to be a fireman. His mom bought him every single fire truck, every single fireman birthday cake, every single birthday party you could ever have for a fireman. That is what he's done. That is the only thing from that singular event has infected this kid his entire natural life. Now he's 17 years old. The job fair comes to high school, police, military, got the Marines with the pull-up bar, and they've got a fireman station. He is the first one in the fireman station. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a fireman so bad. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, you can see it radiating out of this kid. Tells a story about the guy with the handlebar mustache and the axe. He's like, this is all I've ever wanted to do. Like, this is my calling. This is what I want. Kid graduates 18 years old. Where is he? Fire Academy. Going to the Fire Academy. Does that entire thing. Graduates Fire Academy. 4 or 5 years on the force. He's waking up, getting ready to go on duty. Pulls back his handlebar mustache. Adjusts his shirt. Now he's 6'1", 240 pounds. He looks like that NFL linebacker. He jumps in a truck. He's driving it. He pulls up the 3-alarm fire, jumps out, sees the kid in the Ford Taurus, gives him a little wink, gives him a little nod. He's infected that same kid with the same thing that happened to him. And the moral of the story is, whatever you're doing, do it at an ultra high level. You have no idea how far that one little wink, that one little nod, that one little head tilt will infect the next generation to come up and backfill you. I don't care if you're a banker, a baker, an orthodontist, whatever you're going to be. If you do it at a super high level, the professionalism cannot be ignored. It's infectious. When you walk into a room, the way you stand, the way you speak, the way you present, it encapsulates the entire room. It's like everybody is better now that you're there because you're a pro at everything you do. And that's what you want. I want you doing whatever you're doing at an ultra high level because I want people backfilling you. I want you to inspire a generation. And we talk about that job fair concept. If there was only one of you, I'm going to put you in the middle of the Superdome on a lazy Susan and spin you around. Nurses. One single nurse walks up and stands on top of that and spins around at 360. What's she look like? What's she sound like? What's she wearing? Describe her in infinite detail. Tell me exactly who is standing up there to represent all nurses on this entire planet. Talk me through it. Talk me through a lawyer. Talk me through a neurosurgeon. Talk me through a bodybuilder. Talk me through a football player. Talk me through a soccer player. Tell me about a Navy SEAL. What's he look like? What's he sound like? What's his height? What's his weight? What's his build? How long's his hair? Does he have a beard? No beard? Like tattoos? Talk me through the whole thing. And is everything you're doing right now, are you shaping your vessel to represent your entire group wherever you go? That's what I've been doing my entire life. I've been trying to shape what I thought should stand on top of that thing and spin around as a 360. Like, is it perfect? Nope. But it's what I can control. I can control a couple things in my life, and everything I have done up until that point was to put me on top of that thing, spinning around as a representative of the community I support. And the faster people get on board with that, the better off we'll all be. It's like, I'm trying to be the best version of me because that profession deserves it.
We have a slogan that, I've got it tattooed on my hand as well, inspire change. And like the thing about that for me was, there's loads of moments in my life. And from the smallest moment was one time when we bought our studio, across the road, there was this guy who I'd see at 5 a.m. every morning, and he'd go out there with a litter picker and his dog, and he was a homeless guy, and he would clean the park just by, no reason for it. He'd just do it. And I used to watch from the top windows. I see him cleaning the park. And then one day I realized he wasn't there anymore. And he'd been doing it for months, and he just wasn't cleaning the park anymore. And I don't know what happened to him, but he'd religiously done that for months and months and months. And I knew that he wasn't there out of choice. Maybe something bad happened to him, I don't know. But I bought a litter picker stick, and I went out there and started cleaning the park myself. And he inspired me, on such he didn't know I was watching him. He just went out there and he did it every single day. But and then on a bigger scale, like, I've had role models in my life, the way they move into their career, or that they operated at such a passionate level, truly, truly inspired me. And again, they weren't doing it to do that for me. They were just doing their job as passionately as they possibly could. And that's where, for me, inspire change comes from. Like, if you live with passion and purpose, you don't know it, but somebody's watching. And you don't do it because they're watching, but somebody is going to see you at some point. And, maybe it will be a moment where you get to wink at the kid in the car and sling the axe over your shoulder. But usually it's going to be a situation where, out of someone's seeing you from 100, 200 meters away, doing your job with passion. They go, wow, that guy really enjoys what he's doing. He's really passionate about what he does. And I wish that everybody could have that, have that understanding that they really can be, whatever profession it is, have that impact on people's lives in a massive way. I mean, you guys are rock stars, what you do, and I know our audience is inspired by special forces, like, in a massive way.
I get inspired by professionals. I mean, like, I've only been starstruck a couple times. It's definitely happened inside the team room. I get more starstruck by a lot of the wives, if I'm being honest. But people that do anything at a professional level, like an ultra high level, you can't ignore it. When you see it, it doesn't matter if you're Hans Zimmer, if you're Steven Spielberg. At an ultra high level, you see the sacrifice it takes to be that guy. I see all the relationships you've had to discard. I see the time away from your kids. I see the time away from your wives. I see the compartmentalization. I see every ounce of it, because if you didn't do that, no one would know your name. No one would remember you. You'd be just like the rest of us. You had to go above, and you had to sacrifice more. And now that you have, you'll be remembered forever, because you are one of these standouts. You sacrifice more than most, but more importantly is you inspired everyone else to mirror what you've done. Whether that be in the production output or in the actual sacrificial nature of your life. Like, he sacrificed more than everybody else. Like, how many people play back that thing of Kobe about everybody going out and burning it down? They came into the practice at 5 a.m. He'd already been in there since 3. He still did a practice, whooped all their asses, and stayed late anyway. I'm like, how does he do this? He's obsessed. Because he's not going to let himself go. He's going the entire way, and he's setting the stage, hopefully, to inspire you. How many of those guys were on his team went on to be the greatest thing ever? Most of them. Once you see it at that level, that becomes your new baseline. We talked about backflips on motorcycles. Impossible, impossible, impossible. Now they're doing triples. They'll do a quad. Like, once you see it done, once you've seen that it's achievable, that becomes a new standard. The standard is a standard until someone exceeds it. When the group exceeds it, they become a dynasty. And that's really the truth. Like, that standard will maintain that standard until a singular individual knocks that out. Once he beats it, everybody else kind of looks around like, well, that's possible. What if him and 6 dudes do it? Like, oh, shit. Now they've all adopted the same mindset, the same work ethic, same output. That's why they live on forever, as they should. Like, we're trying to develop dynasties here. How do I get one person to affect change in all of these people? How do I make that infectious where you can't get the taste out of your mouth? You have to do better. You wake up in the morning, you're like, I feel unsatisfied. Why? I didn't do anything yesterday to make me better. Sucks, doesn't it? Yeah. What are you going to do today? Twice what I was going to do yesterday. Hammer down, man. Keep going. When you've got the motivation, keep it rolling. Keep pouring coal into it. Just keep going, keep going. I think once you get them going, it's hard to get them to stop. Just set the baseline and let them go.
I bumped into an old school friend actually just a couple of days before flying out here, and I was on the park with my son, and I bumped into him, and he says, do you ever just stop and look at your peers around you and see how far you've come in comparison? And I stopped and I was like, I have new peers. Like, I have new people around me now. Like, no, I don't, because the people I have around me now are so much greater, and I think that's really important, to surround yourself, if you're trying to be great, with greatness, with people that are better than you, people who you aspire to be like. The friends that I have now, when I'm in their company, give me so much energy, and I'm like, I need to be better. Like, these guys are doing it. I need to be so much better than I am right now. And I mean, the way you've spoken about your whole career, it seems like you've done that throughout. Just put people around you at all times who are just absolutely great at what they did.
And I do have the luxury that place just fosters really, really good performers. The military does in general, but in all walks of life. But that is my secret, is I surround myself with people that I want to be like.
Your organization.
And I implement what they do. If you look at Kobe Bryant's morning routine, if everyone would just stop in whatever it was, how ridiculous it is if everyone on the earth stopped and did that for 30 consecutive days, you'd be better. You've already seen the magic. It already works. It's like they've already set the foundation. All you got to do is just follow the plan. It's like, well, they wake up at this time, they go to bed the same time I do. Just the stuff they do in between is so much better, so much more productive. How do they do that? Well, they learned it from somebody. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Well, just do that. Surround yourself with new people. Every time you go to that big fish, small pond, just stay away from that. If you're the smartest dude in the group, find a different group. If you're the strongest guy in a group, find a different group. There's always someone stronger, always someone bigger, better, faster. Just surround yourself with those people. It'll naturally rub off, and it just elevates your game that much more. I don't care if you're playing basketball, you're playing pool, whatever you're doing. If you play with high-level people, your game naturally gets better. It just will. A lot of people just want to get stuck, and they want to make Tuesday feel just like Monday. I don't want to do that. I'd like to live a routine, but not the same routine every day. I'm trying to get better every single day. And in order to do that, I have to keep my look up and out. I've got to be looking for new people to chase. Like, oh, that guy's really good at that. Come over here. Show me how to do that. Actually, don't even show me. Just keep doing it. Let me watch it for a minute. That's really what it is. So, to me, that's kind of the meaning of life. Like, how far can I get, but how far can I get the people around me? Like, I don't want to finish first. I just want to finish. If all my crew beat me and I came in dead last, that is not a bad thing. I think that's the difference now. Pre going to Mexico is now I don't want to be first. I'm fine with being dead last in this pack, because if we're being honest, I'm setting the baseline of what is minimum standard. We got a really high fucking standard. And that's what we do with everybody. I just want you to be better than me, because that just keeps me chasing you. I don't want to be the front runner. I don't want to be the strongest student here. I'm happy with being average, because the average is so high in this room, it doesn't matter. I think that's what people lose. Like, if they don't win, they lose confidence. Like, jump in a pool with Michael Phelps, you ain't gonna win. You'll be better though. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta change your perspective just a bit.
I think the idea of like the backflip, the talk of the triple backflip, is you have to surround yourself with it though. Like, I think social media, TV and all that kind of stuff is good, and it is inspiring. Like, to me, it's very inspiring. I've always said documentary film is probably the most inspirational medium. But when you go and meet that person, you're around that person, you realize that they are blood, flesh, guts, just like you. And if they can do it, then really you should be able to do it, if you were willing to put in everything that they've put in. So I'm curious, did you seek out those people? Did you make a point of that, of like, I'm going to find good people to have around me at all times?
That was one of the lessons that guy Barrett told me when I wanted to go. Like, about screening and selection and preparation, all of that, you have to surround yourself with people that want to be on the same path you are. If they're ahead of the path, it's even that much better. Now you have someone to follow. You see the blueprint out in front of you, but you have to constantly be reassessing. Like, who am I trying to be? What's that mentor? And then what's the mentor that he's looking at? He's not looking back, seeing if I'm chasing him. He's looking for the next guy. I'm looking over his shoulder, who he Who's the guy he's chasing? How do I get in that position?
So that lone wolf mentality is like, can be a negative.
To me, it's a negative because at the end of the day, you don't know what you're chasing. If you don't have anyone to chase, you're just the trendsetter. But a lot of times, if we're being honest, it's just flying blind. You don't have anything to reference off of. Like, I'm the strongest dude in my gym. You're the only guy in this gym. You're at a home gym. He's like, still the strongest dude in the gym. Like, well, why don't we go to this gym and we'll see how you compare?
Yeah.
It's not really the same thing. Like, I'm the fastest dude in my high school. You're the only guy on the track team. Doesn't really add up. Let's get you with some people and let's really push the pace and see how far you can go. And a lot of it, if you've never seen how far the human body or the human potential can actually go, you have no idea. You have no idea what your true capabilities. You only know what you've achieved so far. That's a lot of stuff we do with Vernon. Like, how far can I go? How high can I jump? How heavy can I pull? Like, can I pick that up? Like, I have no idea. I think I can. Well, let's see. Really, really push. But it takes someone to know your limitations and know how far you can actually go. Just steady pressure. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. If not, you become stagnant. You become really comfortable and good is good enough. This is good enough, man. This is fun. Like, I'm totally content with being like this forever. Yeah, I mean, really until the risk of being the same outweighs the risk of change. It's like, I don't want to be the same guy forever. I don't. Until I'm really willing to make a chance, I'll be that guy forever. Like, I'm not afraid of the change. I'm afraid of staying this way forever. Okay, what are you going to do? Whatever it takes.
I don't think people realize how much risk they're in of remaining the same.
That's the thing that, it cripples me. Like, to think back of who I was 5 years ago and to think I could still be that person now, that's one of the biggest scares I have. If I would have maintained that trajectory where I'd be at right now, if I wouldn't have surrounded myself with positive people, if I somehow would have managed the storm and where I'd be at, like, nobody I'd want to be. Definitely not clonable. I wouldn't want 25 me running around. Not back then. There are moments in my life where ultra proud of who I am and what I've done and what I've contributed, and moments in my life where I couldn't be more embarrassed. I look at it, is that a professional answer? Why'd I do it? Here, stone cold sober, I have no idea. I think that's the thing that plagues me the most. If I look back on the big errors I've made, there's only one thing I'll tell you, and I think a lot of people get a lot out of this. Every single mistake I've ever made in my life that I can recall right now could have been solved with a singular question. Is what I'm doing now or what I'm about to do benefit my group in any way? No. Does me drinking a six-pack and driving make my team better? Nope. Does me getting shit-faced and staying out till 4 a.m. in downtown LA when I've got a wife and 2 kids at home make me better? Nope. Does it make my family better? No. Does it hurt my family? Does that affect my job too? So you're actually hurting the team. Yep. Does skipping the gym make my team better? Nope. Taking all these drugs make me better? Nope. It's like, at the end of the day, if you just look at it in that, everything I do physically, everything I do in my morning routine is for the optimal end state. Does that support the optimal end state? No. What are you doing? It solves itself. And I had a troop chief that told me that everything you're doing should be purpose-built. Is wearing that t-shirt represent my group? No. You fucking take it off. Roger that. Right? Just as simple as that. Everything you do, everything you say represents all of us. Are you proud of what you just said? You proud of the way you acted in front of these people? No, neither are we. Like, oh, fuck. It's heavy, man. Like, the responsibility you have. You know, I'm a steward of people's time and energy and attention. You're a professional. You spent your whole life earning your position in this team, and I just pissed it away by wearing this stupid ass t-shirt and saying this out of my mouth. Like, okay. So now everything I do now, I just ask myself that. Is this potential to hurt your team? My team being my family? Yeah. So I'm not going to do it. Does this potentially hurt GBRS? Potentially. Don't do it. Then I don't. And it solves itself. Like, now there's just more checks and balances. I just look at it objectively. That doesn't make them better. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Kind of a boring life, but it really keeps you accountable. Any scenario you throw on the table, anything, just throw it on the table. Does it make the company better? No, that doesn't. Then why the fuck are you doing it? Because you're putting your individual needs above the needs of the group. And that's the big thing that cannot happen. If you start thinking like an individual in a team setting, that's an issue. Like, well, I need this. Like, you need that or we need that? So we don't need that. Oh, okay. It really does start to solve everything you've ever wanted to know. If you ever want to be part of a team being your family, your best friend, whatever that is what you're doing or about to do, help that team. If the answer is no, don't do it. Just don't. And I think when people start to adopt that kind of mindset, they really become accountable and they really become professional and they really see how important they are to that entire team concept. Like, your position really does matter. We don't just grow you on trees. We need for you to be here at 100%. And if you're not going to be, then pack your shit and leave. Matters though. Yeah. How far you're willing to go for the group, how much you're willing to sacrifice to put them before yourself.
I love that. I know there's so many things that people can take away from this conversation, but I feel like we're just scratching the surface. Like, I feel like I could talk to you forever. But what I always do is try and direct people in the right direction. After this conversation, if they wanted to take action, where's the best place they could go? Like, what's the best thing they could do? I know you do a lot of work with people at the moment to try and help them with their mental health and all this kind of stuff, like with routine and stuff. Is there somewhere they can click a link and find resources?
I mean, for us, they can go to our website. We've got a really good Patreon channel. We put a lot of mental health stuff on there. A lot of these type of conversations lie on there, and a lot of it's because it's a private subscription group. We've got a bunch of different tiers in there, and the stuff we get into, we don't put on the internet because it's not for everybody. It's for people that are really struggling, and then we do group chats. So we'll get on a live stream. I'll bring up 5 or 6 topics, and we'll just cycle through them. So the last one we did was adult mental health, dealing with anxiety, pressure to perform, dials and switches, and we'll just go through the entire thing for a 2-hour block. And I'll just give you a master's class on dials and switches inside of your reality. So talk me through your day, and guys will talk through their morning routine. I was like, that's not a morning routine. You wake up at 9 a.m. That's not a morning routine. We got to get you a morning routine. Then we just talk about it. A lot of that is that. And then anybody who's really struggling with the mental health, if you're not actively combating it, if you have not set a purpose-built structure in your day to put yourself at the optimal side of your morning, it's never going to get better, man. These guys who just cruise through life, like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. It'll eventually work itself out. It won't. Not in my experience. It's never solved itself for me. I've never just woke up one day and it's like a crank in your neck. You just wake up, it's gone. I've never heard of that. Maybe it's like that for some people. It's not like that for me. It takes steady pressure every day. And I mean, if guys are interested, if you're a service member and you're thinking about going down to Mexico and doing some of that, that's, I'll give you a link to that. That's the organization. They're 501c3.
Amazing, yeah.
They raise funds to send special operations guys down to a bunch of different charities are doing it now. That clinic down in Mexico I went to saved my whole life. It just did. And anybody who's really struggling, if you have exhausted all the options and that is something you are able to do, I highly recommend it for anybody who doesn't have a pre-existing health condition that might preclude them from doing it. I will say I tried everything. I mean, I tried stellate ganglion blocks. I did acupuncture. I did really aggressive therapy, group therapy. I've taken every medication under the sun. I've tried everything. And the only thing that snapped me out of it completely in one shot was Ibogaine and 5-MeO. And for those who are wondering, I mean, I went through years of pain management, pain medication, everything there was. I dipped Copenhagen for 20 years and I quit Copenhagen in 15 minutes. I didn't want to. I think that's the important thing is I never tried to quit. I woke up from that and I'd never put another dip in my mouth again. The guys quit coffee. Drink coffee for 40 years, they wake up, never drink another cup. Like, I don't need it. It's weird. Your whole body just gets reset. Neural pathways get reconnected. Just overall, it is like a miracle drug. And it won't cure everybody if you're not willing to put in the steps and make course corrections. But I tell guys, man, once you hit the relief, once you get any sign of relief, you have got to hammer down. And if you're not willing to restructure your entire life to stay at that optimal end state, I don't really see a benefit in going. If you're not really willing to scrub out the things that are really plaguing you, like when I went down, I mean, I canceled 150, 200 people out of my life overnight. Anybody who didn't serve me or serve my group, gone in an instant. I'm not going back. I've tried every other option. I've tried saving everybody. That ain't going to work. I've tried saving myself. That's not going to work. Once I got some relief, just keeps it relief. And live a routine that supports it. Like now my day is structured. Now my day is accountable. My relationship with my wife's never been better. We have full transparency. I don't have anything to hide. And it is a weight off my shoulders like you cannot describe. And the people that live those double lives and live those alter egos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you never have to do that again, it's a sigh of relief that indescribable. That I never have to hide my phone again. I can say whatever I want to my wife. That is the greatest gift I've ever given myself, is full transparency. I never had it before. I can say anything to her. And now, because I have the power of the medicine on my side, I can say pretty much anything to anybody, and I don't care. That's the cool thing about the ego death is I don't care what you think about me. Because at the end of the day, you don't matter. The only people that matter live inside of this house. So outside of that, I don't really care. I just hope people get better. And if I can use myself an example of what not to be like, or show you a realistic folder of what you think it looks like at the very top, and all the struggles and all the failures on the way there, and the crash and the fall from grace, I'll use myself as an example. I want people to learn from my mistakes and not put me on a pedestal or think because I did a thing that I'm some superhero, just like you. I've just been fortunate enough to see the other side of it, and I've had the ability to change my entire life in one shot. Like, I'm never going to let that happen again. And I hope they don't either. I hope they learn from my mistakes, and I hope they take a couple little key pieces away. Steady pressure. Like, we'll get through this. And if you're ever in a jam, call me. Email me. I check every single DM on social media, every single one. Me and my wife both. Just write me. I promise you I'll answer back. I don't see anybody struggling, man. It means too much to me.
I mean, that's such a amazing gesture. And I just want to say, I'm so thankful of how open and honest you've been throughout all your conversations you've ever had online, but even just today, like, that is what is making people be able to connect with you. Like, the fact that you're willing to, show absolutely every side of you. People go, wow, that's me. Like, I recognize that in myself. And I just think those people are underserved and not receiving that because people don't want to talk about it. People don't want to share their experience. So thank you so much. I would have to pick this up again at some point. There's a lot there, but thank you for today. And yeah, I'm excited to share this with everyone. It was amazing.
Thank you guys for making the trip.